Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lorebeards 40,000. You may notice Alexis is not here today, but instead we have Victor. Hi, Victor.
Hello, I am here. I am filling in with my greater knowledge of space dwarfs.
Listen, for the
And
Votann, yes, you have the fine,
indeed,
magnificent specimen
I
there.
have, as you can see, I have grown my lore beard to an acute length, which should give me honorary status as lore beard. So I hope I'm able to fill Alexis's shoes. I keep in mind, I know way less about 40K than she does, but the things that I do know about are like there are things I focus on. I know more about Atmec than she does. I know more about Votann than she does, but that's just because those are my armies and she doesn't play them. So like she can probably like talk about them in basic terms and all that good stuff, but I don't know if she could tell the difference between a crucible and a fane, but we're about to
Ooh,
get into all that good stuff. So
that's a challenge right there.
it is a challenge, but then again, the Votann lore is very new and it hasn't like it's gotten like what is it, one Black Library book, I think, and the rest of the stuff is like Necromunda squat lore, which honestly the squats have gotten way more stuff for Necromunda, like in terms of units and models and all that good stuff. So yeah. Ah, right. Who am I?
Yes,
Who
that's a good
who is
question. Let's start
who
with
is
that.
this? Who is this person who has
Tell us
shown
about
up out of
yourself.
nowhere? Right. Hello, I am Vicky the GM. I have the distinct honor of role playing of GMing both for Alexis and Sotek in two separate games. Alexis is on Mondays, Sotek is on Sundays, and then I have an entire separate group on Saturdays. And I also play in uh, two other games. So yeah, I used to run 5 games a week. Now I run only 3, which I gotta up my game because clearly I'm slacking. Uh, but yeah, it's mostly because my little Imperium Maledictum game like came to a stop, and the little Lustria campaign I had going also came to a violent end because I sent starting characters into Lustria, and that
Oh, no.
did not end well. One player got made a deal with Cthulhu and jumped into what we think is a black hole, but we let's not get into details. We're here to discuss space,
Well,
not
that's true. But
yes,
as a GM who runs every other Sunday, I am
right.
deeply jealous of your ability to handle that many games that often. That's
Now
awesome. I'm
I can
envious.
boast even more because it's all the same campaign 3
Nice.
times, meaning I have 3 distinct campaigns and I don't take notes because notes are for amateurs.
Wow.
Me-
Wow. All right.
meaning
Well,
I
I
meaning I
admire the
have
confidence.
I have 3 separate storylines going on, and I have, like, 16 different player characters that I have to keep track of all of their, like, side quests and junk, but we're not here to talk about me, we're here to talk about them Votannians, because Kin is a boring name, as, Ross and I were discussing pre-show.
That's true. Hi,
But hold
everybody.
on, who are you? What are you
Thank you.
doing here?
Thank you for that intro. I'm Ross Watson. I'm a game designer and author. I worked on the majority of Warhammer 40K roleplay and Wrath of Glory, which I have my T-shirt on today.
Very nice.
Worked on a few 40K video games. I was part of the US White Dwarf team for a couple of years. I know my 40K looks pretty good in my head, but unlike Victor, I must take notes. I don't have that kind of brain. I take a lot of notes when I run my games.
Look, I there is something like I can't do math to save my life, but ask me about, oh, I don't know, my how one of my players died because they had to accidentally, well, because they got transferred to a new military base so they couldn't take part in the game. It was yeah, I can tell you the grisly Indiana Jones inspired details.
Nice.
Kali Ma was involved.
Player character death, I'm sure, not player death.
Yes, sorry. Player character, not player death. I can't reach through my screen to Australia.
Awesome. Well, welcome back, everybody. Make sure you grab your pickaxes and check your grudge ledger. Today, we're going to dig deep into the galactic core. Heyo.
Heyo.
It's the Leagues of Votann, everybody.
All right, we got to get the diggy holes jokes out of the way, and the rock and stone, and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's all good fun.
Yes.
For the uninitiated, the Leagues of Votann are not the squats that you may remember from your 30-year-old White Dwarf issues, most of which I own and remember very well. But
Indeed.
These are instead the kin, or the Votannians, as we like to describe them here on the channel.
Yes.
They are... Go ahead.
Kin is a boring name. Let the record show. And from what I will point this out in the Inquisition GM's guide for Imperium Maledictum, they are referred to as Votann kin, which not only makes grammatical sense, but also makes a lore sense, because as we're about to get into, all kin are clones.
That's true.
They are kin of the ancestor core, or aka a Votann.
That's right.
So this I much prefer, honestly, because as I've stated, kin is boring, but Votann kin is something that I can get behind. So there's that.
Now the Votann kin, I guess we'll go with that. They are kind of squat in terms of their body. They're brutally strong. They are, as Victor said, clone-born survivalists. And they carved out an empire, one of the single most hostile regions of the galaxy, and they did it while every other major power in the setting of Warhammer 40,000 was busy tearing itself apart. So here's the very brief pitch. Somewhere in the dark age of technology, human colonists loaded themselves onto sublight generation ships. They pointed themselves at the churning heart of the galaxy, and they never looked back.
Indeed. And something they call long march ships.
Mm-hmm. They brought with them ancient thinking machines called Votann, the ancestor cores that Victor was talking about, and self-aware robots called Ironkin.
Yes.
Who they would go on to treat not as tools, but as full and equal citizens.
Which I will note is a better name, because they are kin made of iron.
That's right.
Which makes it a good name. Very... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, thousands of years later is when we pick up the story.
Yes.
And these kindreds have become sprawling interstellar leagues. There's one called the Great Arthurian League. There's the Cronus Hegemony and the Urani Surtur Regulates, I believe.
And then there's the Trans-Hyperion League, which is how my Votann army is painted. Very happy about that one. The Ymir Conglomerate, which are the supreme craftsmen of the Votann kin. And I'm missing one, and my codex is all the way over there on the table. There's one more. There's 6 big ones, and I think we forgot one.
If you want to grab it, I can continue the intro.
One moment.
So the Iron Kin, well, not the Iron Kin, excuse me, the Votann Kin, they are armed with technology that puts the Adeptus Mechanicus to shame in some cases. And their philosophy is built entirely around one brutal survivalist code: waste nothing, forget nothing, and forgive nothing.
Exactly.
And this year, 2026, or well, I think it came out 2025 was the most recent codex. But the lore cracked wide open because the Votann cores seem to be going senile.
Yes, they have opened too many Chrome tabs, and it's finally catching up to them.
I like that idea.
Yes.
There's a rival ancestor core that's spontaneously waking up the Grendel dominance and starting a civil war.
Turns out there's only 5. I could have sworn there was a 6th. I don't have my original Votann codex, so I always, in my mind, there's always 6 named factions that every codex gets, but I can't remember what that sixth one was, but I suppose can't be super important. But yes, there are in fact lesser known leagues
That's
of the
true.
Votann that are trying to make themselves better. So
And there's a go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you were about to say something.
Yeah, there's one of the neater things from the new lore, and we will talk about this. I'm just sort of overviewing like what we're going to get
Right.
into. But there is an ancient dormant core called the Somnant,
Yes.
and it might be one of the actual first ancestors.
Yes, it is that one belongs to the Urser. What was the name of it again? The
Is that the Urani Searcher?
the Urani Searcher, but the short name for it is Urser. URSR.
Right.
Which is it's all made up. Yes.
So we have this species, the Leagues of Votann. They may be quietly and uncomfortably realizing that their own cloning process might be breaking down.
Yes.
So stick around. Over the next 3 hours, we're covering the Votann kin from Crucible to Grave, the Four Pillars, the Grudges, the Iron King, the Ironkin, the mystery of what a Votann actually is or might be. And we're going to be talking about some fan theories.
Yes.
But you're going to lose your minds over some of the possible connections to the Men of Iron and a few other things. So let's get into it.
There's honestly like this is a little tangent, but like have you read that famous interview with, was it I think it was Rick Priestley, when he talked about how the studio ran into a creative dead end with the squats?
I have read it. Would you summarize it though for people who haven't seen it?
TLDR, apparently back when the squats were the space biker dwarfs from space that we know and love, who sometimes were in the Imperial Guard and sometimes weren't. It was a little hazy back then. They being the creatives at Games Workshop, they weren't feeling it. They were like, they're just dwarfs on bikes and trikes, and we don't really know what to do with them.
And trains. Don't forget the trains.
Oh yeah, land trains. Of course. How could I forget? Because I literally took my Hecaton land fortresses. I own 3, and I turned them. I took the train, a cargo train from Necromunda, and I jacked one of my Hecaton fortresses onto one of the like empty like cargo carrier platforms where you normally would put the Munitorum cargo container, and I just drive around my wheelless Hecaton land fortress and shoot all of its guns from there. So I can, in fact, connect 3 of my land fortresses together and drive them around as a train, because that's just how I roll on the tabletop. Now, keep in mind, it's modified by Votann kin tech, meaning they can all separate and drive individually. That's how I'm flavoring it. But I, in fact, do honor the old squat land train in my modern Leagues of Votann army, because their fortresses, Hecaton land fortresses, broke down, and they were like, "Hey, you human, can we buy those trains from you?" They're like, "Cool."
Zeppelins too. They had blimps.
Oh yeah, they also had blimps. Am I misremembering, or did they have something called the Leviathan, which was like an old
yeah,
Games Workshop mini?
Also called the Citadel Imperialis, which is a big old like almost pyramid on
Imperialis.
Capital,
get it right?
Yes, thank you, Capital Imperialis. You're right about that.
See, that's what the brain is for. Anywho, I'm gonna get with all of those old miniatures, which you'd be lucky to find today. They're probably worth a fortune. They looked at that and were like, we just can't be bothered to come up with anything cool for these guys. So they just said, Tyranids ate them, and they're gone. And that was it. That was everything that they could think of.
Right, and this
So
happened in between second and third edition is when this decision was
yeah,
made.
this is a long time ago, like back in the early
I can
90s.
I can corroborate Victor's accounts because I have spoken to Alan Merritt, who is one of the head of IP back in that time frame. Now, Alan was a guy who had very specific ideas about the IP. Alan did not want Gene Stealer Cults to ever be released because he thought the limo was stupid, for example. Uh,
What a fool! What a fool he was.
Listen, I'm not saying I agree with him on everything, but Alan is also the guy who told me the story of the squads, and he told me the same
Mhm.
thing that Victor just said. That basically there was a lack of interest in the studio to creatively develop them, and they were like, we just can't think of anything cool to do with them. And to their credit, if they couldn't think of anything good to do, they decided to remove them. I think that was
Yes.
probably a wise decision.
Probably, but yes, that is that if you have heard the term squatting, that is where that comes from.
The
They
decision was not popular.
No, it was not popular, which is odd considering they probably weren't selling hugely like in huge
Oh
numbers.
no,
But
like monetarily, it meant nothing to Games Workshop.
no, exactly. Like it is weird how how vocal people become when something very minor gets removed from their favorite media and fiction.
Well, to be fair, this was a time of great turmoil for 40K because Rogue Trader, which is first edition 40K, had come out, and it was very, very different from second edition. And second
Yes,
edition
true.
was very bright and very colorful and had a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor, and people were really into it. And then third edition comes along, and it's a lot grimmer, it's a lot darker. Third edition is where 40K kind of crystallizes into the grim darkness of the far future.
True, true. It loses some of the silliness of the first edition and second edition. And I will say this, I like that sort of period of 40K when we get like the Mordheim levels of black and white grim, like grim darkness. In my mind, that is too much. Like it becomes borderline grim derp, which is a lovely word that I use way too much in my common vocabulary. I will say this, if you need a modern example of grim derp, it's Trench Crusade. I think Trench Crusade it like puts its big toe into the grim derp section.
Well, it is created by Tuomas Pirinen, who's the same guy who made Mordheim. So if you felt
Exactly.
Mordheim was too dark,
Exactly.
I
Keep in mind, Mordheim like almost got away with it because of the silliness of the old world, technically not the current tabletop game. I am talking about just the empire and all of its surrounding nations and those weird and wonderful things that uh, that inhabit the fake Europe that uh, that everything seems to be based on. The my problem with all like the like third and fourth and like like sort of stretching into fifth, it was kind of like 40K was rebalancing itself into fifth edition, and then sixth in my version hit the perfect like balance of this is dark, but it's not depressing levels of darkness. Anywho, we need to keep on topic
right.
here
Well,
because I'm trying
it's
to keep on point here.
it's fair to point out that this was a period of turmoil in 40K. So I think fans were a little more sensitive to the idea of setting a precedent that an entire faction could be removed from the setting,
Yes.
considering that these models have never really been cheap. Let's be
No.
clear.
No.
And there is a certain amount of investment of time and effort to paint all the models. So I think it's not. I certainly understand the idea of the backlash when the squats were erased.
True. True.
I still say it was a good decision creatively, but I do understand why people would be upset.
Now, to put a nice bow on what I was trying to get to, turns out all they needed was just a bit of time. Like, let the creative juices busy and oh, sorry, I was distracted by a by a super chat. Apologies. So the whole thing, apparently, all they needed was what, 20 years ish of letting the squats, as they were known, stew in the creative juices. Because when they came out, they pretty much had almost, I'm not going to say the whole everything, they had almost everything that they lost. We had the bikers, the
Mhm.
dwarf bikers on their, sure,
Trikes.
anti-grav bikes, sure.
Trikes. Yeah.
Yeah, trikes, exactly. Like, sure, they levitate now. They don't have the wheels anymore, which honestly I prefer. It's a nice little visual upgrade, and separates them from every other trike slash bike in the game. So it's a very nice visual touch. They also had their like big battle tanks in the form of the Land Fortress, which I love, and I own three of them because uh, heavy Magna Rail cannons are the way to go.
Right.
Uh, they also have their inherent dwarfiness with, well, I say inherent dwarfiness, they weirdly enough got away with a good chunk of them not having like big bushy beards like mine. A lot of them have like very like slim mustaches, and some of them don't even have beards at all. Some of them look like they've been burned off and stuff. But point is, uh, here they were, seemingly out of nowhere, back in like 29. Did they come out in 2019? Has it really been?
2022.
Oh,
Uh,
2022. Sorry.
right. And they were teased with an April Fool's Day joke
Oh, that's
that year.
right. I remember, and I wasn't quite sure if they were actually being serious about this, being like, "What do
Well,
you mean?"
there's a good reason they tried to do this a little more carefully. And if I could go back briefly to the squats, I should mention what
Yeah.
some of the reasons why the backlash was so strong was not just the fear, but also how Games Workshop handled it, because it was handled like this. Games Workshop basically just stopped selling the line, stopped promoting the line, stopped advertising the line, stopped having the line in their catalogs. And then when the third edition rulebook came out, there was a single throwaway line, just one line of text saying that
Hmm.
their homeworlds had been consumed by a splinter fleet of an unnamed Tyranid high fleet.
Yeah.
Now,
The rumor was is that it was High Fleet Leviathan, but that we'll get to that in a bit because there's a little connected
right,
thread
there
into the
is.
future once again, which once again proves to you they had everything they needed right there in front of them. They just couldn't see it at the time,
That
which
happens
which
creatively.
funnily enough, there is an example of an entire game system where they did this on on a system scale, not just for a singular faction. If you can even call them a faction, they were kind of integrated into the Imperial Guard back then, but details. I am of course talking about Warhammer Fantasy when they decided to end the whole thing because they thought they couldn't do anything with it, and it also wasn't selling, which there's a there's a parallel between the squats and this and what happened there. And then when they realize, oh wait a minute, people want this, they spruced it up a little bit, threw in some new stuff, and turns out there is a ton of creative space left where you think there is a dead end. If you just keep digging a little bit further, you might pop into a cave full of diamonds.
That's
Which
a good. I like that. That's a great example there. So
exactly.
sometimes what it takes is a new perspective. But just quickly going back to the squats thing, I think uh, Games Workshop underestimated the investment that people had in their factions. I think a lot of the Games Workshop guys back in the day were kind of just like, hey, we're making this game for fun, and we're just putting it out there for fun, and people are buying our stuff. That's great. And they didn't quite realize the level of love and attention that people were lavishing on their different factions. So to have one
Exactly.
just kind of go away without a proper send off
Yes,
is it's
it's not so much that they like if they had, imagine if it was more than a line.
sure.
Imagine if it was an end of edition campaign book.
There you go. See,
And actually, when did help me out here? When did Tyranids get introduced? Was it third?
no, second. They were second
Well,
edition.
oh, right. Imagine that. Here you have a brand new faction of space bugs, and we're going to show you how spooky these are.
That would
Like,
have been really cool.
like here is an entire campaign book. Here are some battles you can fight. Here is how devastating the Tyranids are when they get to the squat homeworlds. All like and as far as the Imperium was concerned, they were all dead.
Well, that is a great, that's a much better way to send them off. The way that the way that they were just written out with that one line, though, becomes kind of a textbook cautionary example of how not to remove something from your lore like that. It's entered the tabletop gaming culture broadly as a term called being squatted.
Yes.
And
Sisters of Battle players have been fearing the squatting for
Right.
many, many years until their entire range got refreshed and they breathed a sigh of relief.
So squatted has become a permanent verb in tabletop gaming slang. Anytime a game company kills off a faction, a race, or a product line without proper closure, this is the linguistic legacy that has outlived the actual army by decades and is still used across the hobby today for any franchise pulling a similar move. But one last thing about this, it got so bad because this was the early days of the internet, Victor.
Yes, correct.
You prefer Victor or Viggy? Which one do you prefer?
Both work. Like, keep in mind, Viggy is my actual nickname.
Okay, all right.
Like, I use my elementary school nickname for my internet handle, which goes to show you how uncreative I am when it comes to this. If I only added the GM when I started GMing Dark Heresy 2nd Edition when it came out, that was back in 2014. It was I was busy to tangent a little bit because I am brand new. People have they've never heard me talk before. They've seen me in the background a bunch because I usually have to go to the bathroom or go grab something to drink from the fridge and stuff like that. But back in 2014, I was usually hanging out in the only friendly local game store in Iceland, which is called Nexus. I think Alexis has mentioned that a bunch. And I was just busy reading 2nd edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and also the Dark Heresy supplement books because they were all open on the shelves. And the guy who ran the store had no problem with people just pulling books off of shelves and just thumbing through them. So I spent hours and hours and hours just reading this stuff. And if I remember correctly, I believe the Ulrich's Thunder canon from Middenheim in 2nd edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the one loaded by the Giant, is the first piece of Warhammer Fantasy art I ever saw. And I'm like, this stuff is awesome. I am going to keep reading this. Talk about a hook.
That's a good hook.
And so, I keep vacillating between Fantasy 2nd Edition and Dark Heresy and all of its sister games because Rogue Trader, Only War, Death Watch, and Black Crusade all were coming out at the same time. And the guy stocked all of these books. I was very impressed with him at the time. And I decided to go back to the book section and grab a Black Library book, and it came down between Gotrek and Felix and Eisenhorn.
Ooh.
And I literally flipped a coin.
Oh,
and
that's tough.
Eisenhorn won out. And I bought it, I read it instantly. I went and I saw the brand new, fresh off the presses Dark Heresy 2nd rule book because I didn't want to buy all of the 1st edition books. I'm sorry to say it, but there was a lot of them. There were so many.
That was my job. I had to make those books. I had to make a lot of books.
I know. I own most. To be fair, I own most of them now. Right. I spent a good chunk of money buying them now, but at the time I was poor. I didn't have a lot of money, so I was because none of my friends actually wanted to play Dark. Sorry, let me rephrase this. None of my friends wanted to GM Dark Heresy. They all wanted to play either D&D or Pathfinder or pick your game of choice. Call of Cthulhu, actually weirdly popular in Iceland, uh, and I was kind of annoyed by this because I want to play this game, and I say to myself, "Fine, I'll do it myself." So I grab the book, I round up a bunch of my friends, some of which are still playing to this day. Hold
Nice.
on, I have yes, 2 of them are still in the same continuous group. Not the same campaign, mind you. That would be insane. That would be a 12-year campaign. Even I don't run that long campaigns. Anywho, and ever since then, I have pretty much been nonstop GMing, and that's where I got my actual nickname and internet username because I turned myself into the forever GM. Now, that story is that story aside, Eisenhorn and Dark Heresy basically got me into 40k because as soon as Codex Skitarii came out, wow, that was a weird one. As soon as Codex Skitarii came out, bam, bought my first army. It was terrible. When it came.
What's fascinating about this, Victor, is that you've only been a part of the hobby since the Kevin Roundtree takeover back in the 2014 era.
Tail end of his I was at the tail end before Kevin Roundtree joined.
You were in the Kirby era. Okay.
Yes,
So
the tail I got to see all of the terrible mistakes and decisions being made. And I'm like, wow, these end times posters all around the game store sure don't look like they're heralding anything good. Anyway, but yes.
So in the prior era of Games Workshop, they stumbled pretty hard on a lot of things with the internet. And in the early days of the internet, this would have been the 90s. When the squats went away, people went to the forums, the Games Workshop forums, and said, "Hey, where's our squats codex that you promised us?" And Games Workshop at the time was like, "Okay, we're going to delete all of these threads. Any thread that mentions squats, and we're going to permaban users who bring the topic up with no explanation." And it escalated to the point where Games Workshop actually shut its forums down entirely.
Yeah.
So this was it was to say that it was not handled well is an understatement, and it contributed to the backlash of why the squats.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe Andy was in fact a moderator of said forums and had to watch all of that, if memory serves. But I may be thinking of a different story from him. But details.
Which Andy?
Andy Law.
Andy Law. Okay,
yeah. I believe he has mentioned he was moderating those Flame forums. Which
my God, we'll have to ask him about that.
Don't. Somebody in the chat mentioned it. He spoke about it once before. Yeah. I see. The old noggin.
Got to talk to him about that for sure.
Yeah.
Let's read some super chats before they go away.
Yeah, let's read some super chats. It's been like half an hour. I can't wait to learn more about the Neo Space Wars and all their tens of pages of. Please don't do us dirty from the jump.
Necromancer Kobold, thank you so much for the super chat. This is the part of the show where I say the best way to support Lorebeards 40K and the hosts is super chats. They directly impact us, and they help bring more great grimdark content coming your way. So we are grateful to everyone who chooses to support us with the super chat. Thank you, Necromancer Kobold, for that joke.
Oh man, don't do the dang Votannians dirty. But yes, next one.
We got one from Dynaman from Twitch. Thank you, Dynaman.
Nice.
Do you want to read this one, Victor?
On a serious note, I love Votann because they disprove a whole lot of Imperium assumptions. They work with Xenos, advance their tech and with AI, and still have a functioning society. We'll get to that.
Is it functioning?
It's there's some cracks showing in the foundation, which the Votannians would probably be very they would grudge me for that one. Now that society has their own large issues. Okay, I should have read a little bit further, like leaving 600 tabs open in Google Chrome for like 10,000 years and wearing down their CPUs. A joke I'm pretty sure I made before you wrote that, Dino Man, but sure, a good joke can never be said too often.
Yeah, that's a good one from Dynaman. Appreciate you very much.
We'll get to all of that in the coming hours.
Got one from Joe Numbers. Thank you, Joe Numbers. If you don't mind, I'll take this one. Good afternoon from work, Beards. Also, you hushed about our tabs. Those are our support tabs. LOL.
Sure, buddy. Sure. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Got one from Jazina Quaishin. Go ahead.
To Dowie, talking about space Dowie, pretending they aren't Dowie. That's going in the book. I mean, the data slater grudges. Excuse you. That's going in the ancestor core, buddy.
Kazukits. Ha! I love the Dowie.
Kazuk!
Are you a Wazik?
None of your umgak.
Nice. Hooligan Mulligan says, busy in Hobbit pre-release, but hi, Vig.
Hobbit pre-release?
Yeah, what is that?
What is that? Is that the Hobbit tabletop game? Or is
Battles of Middle-earth? What is that?
Hooligan, if you could type it out in chat what you mean by that, because I am very curious.
Yeah, same. And we got one from Ice Veins. Hello, Ice Veins. Welcome. Welcome, Victor. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Welcome, Victor. Also, it's Victor with a K. Please get it right. C, funnily enough, is not an Icelandic letter. It's not in our alphabet. So I am Victor with a K, which honestly, in my opinion, sounds better, looks better too. Welcome to the community. And between Ross and you, I don't believe we'll be short on any information about the Votann. Oh man, we are in for it. Also, I would like to use this as a teachable moment because never too many of those. When you need to answer a question or fill in a blank space about Votann kin, it is very easy and almost reflexive to take something from Warhammer Fantasy and just plug it in, because of the aforementioned tens of pages of lore, we don't have a huge deal to discuss. But if you need to, you can always take something from fantasy, sci-fi it up, maybe spell it a little funky, and congratulations, you have Leagues of Votann lore. And honestly, I have actually had to do this in one of my Dark Heresy game when I had a demiurge, which is what they used to be called.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Back in Battlefleet Gothic, which honestly they kept that, so I'm okay with all that bit. I do like all of the little connecting threads that Games Workshop took and plugged in, because they actually did the same with Grand Cathay, and they had fewer connecting threads back then, which I do approve of this method of making lore. So good on it. Anywho, next super chat.
Surrogate Gaia says, just wanted to jump in quickly since I can't join the stream myself. Something I've noted that many people forget is that the squats were mentioned as late as 2nd edition. Yeah, for sure.
We have been discussing that, yeah.
The Imperial Guard Codex mentions that the squat homeworld seceded from the Imperium during the Age of Apostasy.
Which, honestly, that lore does not hold up anymore.
It's very old lore.
Completely throw it in the garbage, because it can't function. So this is one of the plot threads they couldn't connect, which I'm fine with.
Not a super chat. Ricardo Andre just points out the squats technically still exist on a random backwater world where everything exists, known as Angelus. This is Necromunda's setting.
Yes.
And they're just a better reimagining, he says, the Votann of Space Wars.
Well, the squats on Necromunda and the Leagues of Votann, they're the same thing.
They are. They literally are.
It's just that they have acclimatized to Necromunda and they live there now. So
right.
There's no difference functionally between them. I would need to double check my Necromunda lore, because I'm not sure if the Necromunda squats have A, a core, and B, a crucible, so to re-up their numbers. So I genuinely don't remember. Anywho, next super chat.
Nils Andre, thank you for being a member.
Do you think Deep Rock Galactic does Leagues of Votann right? I don't think so, but that's mostly that's mostly stylistic differences. Like if you have a dwarf in space in a mining suit, you're like 90% of the way there. But the difference is, like I said, stylistic. Like they are mercenary. They are capitalistic to the core. Which who am I describing? Deep Rock Galactic? Am I describing Leagues of Votann? You decide. So, like, it is a Deep Rock Galactic is a very fun game as far as horde slash extraction shooters go. I like it, but it doesn't stylistically it doesn't quite fit with the Leagues of Votann. There's a lot more like there's a lot more like dirty humor in Deep Rock Galactic, so it doesn't quite fit with the like very gruff and self-serious Votannians.
Yeah, it is. It is far less serious for sure. I do
Yes,
love. I think it's great that it exists. I'm a big fan. In
yes,
fact, one of my
agreed.
friends has a game, a role playing game, essentially called Starbeards, which is Deep Rock Galactic, but
That
a role
is
playing game.
that is very funny. I approve.
I got one from Nestor Vitumbra.
Remember,
Remember.
oh,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I'll take that one. Remember, every time the word the demiurge appears, we get closer to mention the forbidden books that haunts every Lorebeard stream. What book is this?
Xenology. It's talking about
Ah,
xenology,
yes.
the forbidden tome.
I had a friend of mine print out the Xenology book because I couldn't find it anywhere.
There's a
And
good reason for that.
it they like I have tried like I have gone on bookstore tours in the States. Like we're talking old bookstores. That's actually where I got most of my my Dark Heresy supplements. You'd be shocked how many old bookstores have just RPG sections, and they got some really good stuff in there. I recommend. But I as someone who as someone who read Xenology on a PDF the first time, I was I was so confused by it that I needed to have it on hand in case I wanted to like I didn't want to run to my and have to start my computer during a session because some of the things in there kind of make sense. Like the orc dissection picture. I really like that one and the fact like I like the idea that orcs go fat if they don't keep fighting. If you imprison an orc, like it starts to like grow a gut and becomes very lethargic and stuff like that. There are things in there, and then we get to some questionable speculation by the in-universe author about why Eldari have pointy ears. So the less said about that, the better. Anywho, next.
Xenology infamously is the book that got Black Library banned from making background books for a very long time.
Yeah, like it was made by an author who had never written anything for Black Library before and never wrote anything again. I think I know why.
Sebastian Muller says, so in short, the Dawi got the short end of the stick.
Not eventually. Like today, they have a really good army. They have really
True.
cool minis. I own most of them, especially the new Thrice Devoured Bure Eichnisson, which he has an almost Icelandic name, almost. I would spell it slightly differently, but that's beside the point. He is a living testament to that one little line that we mentioned previously about, oh, they got eaten.
Yeah. He's a
But
great
now they're
character.
back with a vengeance, baby.
He's a great character and a great little Easter egg. I like that.
Yes.
Thank you, Sebastian Muller, for the super chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, Sebastian donated in Danish kroner. Screw you. You know what? You know what you did.
Whoa, hey.
Yes. There is anti-Danish prejudice in this stream. Get
My
over
goodness.
it.
Listen, I like to go down to my local bakery and pick up a Danish every now and then, but
Not the same thing, but details.
Skylar Martin 4298 says, "Do the sporfs, the space dwarfs, think the Imperium is batshit crazy?"
Yes and no. It depends on which Votannian you ask. Yeah. Whatever, Sebastian. Screw you. Anywho, he replied in the comments. So depending on, say, if you have a Hernkin, which are the little explorer dwarfs that go out all over the galaxy and look for resources, trade partners. Danes versus Icelanders versus Sweden. Swedes, I can take them or leave them, but Danes,
My goodness, Victor.
Yes, there. Don't worry. There's an eight. Speaking of grudges, I have a.
It's a friendly rivalry, right? It's a friendly rivalry.
I have a national grudge. There's a national grudge against Danes when it comes to Icelanders. There's history there, but I won't get into it because. Anywho,
my goodness.
Yes. So if you have a Hernkin and he has to deal with, let's say, a cold trader, if you will, those two individuals will probably have a totally fine conversation. They will discuss the product being bartered with. They will most likely go about their ways and think nothing of it until they have to meet again, and there's some Inquisition Ordo Xenos agents in tow, and they're pointing a bolt pistol at the cold trader's head to try to make him tell them where he got the Votann tech. So at that point, the bolt revolvers come out, and the shooting starts. So it very much does depend on the Votann-kin and the Imperial that they're dealing with.
And the individual league, too, has their own...
Exactly. Yeah. If you have the Cronus hegemony, they're going to be much more aggressive than, say, the Trans-Hyperion Alliance, because they have very different ideologies when it comes to, we're going to take it by force, we're going to try and trade for it. For instance, the latest the latest lore on Armageddon, I believe it has the Greater Thurian League has landed on Armageddon and is assisting the Imperium in return for mineral rights, which right there, they are selling a service for a price, which is very pragmatic if you ask me.
Very, very dwarfy.
Yes, very dwarfy. Very Votannian.
I want to clarify for any of our listeners in Europe that this is what Victor talked about earlier. That was a sports rivalry and only a sports rivalry.
Yeah. Like I do not act on it. Boy,
it's a sports rivalry.
I do love cussing out Danes if I see them, and then after that we can usually go out for a beer. But
okay.
That's, like, keep in mind, it's if you know, you know.
Dynaman says that the joke that he brought up was actually someone he stole from Adeptus Ridiculous, and he had commented that before you said it.
Well, I don't read. Well, I wasn't reading the chat, so
it's fine. It's fine.
On another note,
the Hernkin Jaegers are the coolest Votann minis, in my opinion.
Agreed. I own them.
The new Magic the Gathering set is the Hobbit. That's what he's talking about. Thank you, Darth Plagueis.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah. Okay, that makes
sense.
And
Godzilla Rex also pointed that out.
Yeah. Okay, I forgot about that. What's happening?
And Alexis is commenting. She says, "Look at my beautiful man. He's so cute." Also, hi, Ross. Very good, Alexis. Thank you.
Anywho.
Oh, that's great.
Right. Is that? Oh, wow.
No, we got more.
We got more. Votann from Iceveins 88. Votann society not functioning properly anymore. Sounds like they're right for Void Father's guidance. Am I just unaware of who the Void Father is?
No, I think we're going to talk about him a little bit later. But it is he's pointing out that it's that we're probably speaking heresy by saying that their society is not functioning properly anymore.
Oh, right. It's just that term, I don't recognize it, like, in all of 40K.
Let me think for a second. I'm sure I will bring it up.
Oh, right. It's what the Carcharodon's called.
Yes, the Carcharodon's called the Emperor, right? The Rangu.
Okay.
The Rangu,
right.
Yeah.
That is...
That's so Iceveins has the Carcharodon symbol as his
his
avatar.
Yeah. It's
The
I
Void Father.
it,
That's
it
right.
okay. Just for reference, everybody, my weak spot in 40k lore is actually Space Marines because I dislike them so much.
Ricardo's pointing out that Angelus is actually Gorka Morka and not Necromunda. Thank you. That's right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Angelus is Necromunda. He's right.
Oh, right. And like Digonobs and all that nonsense that
Right.
technically still exists there.
I love this
Xenology.
from Nestor
That is
Vitumbra.
yeah, that is worthy of praise. All right, let's see. Pumpkin Historian. A bit of a weird question. If the Votann are clones, what are their interpersonal relations? Do they know what sex or romance? Is it more platonic? It is. They do have family. They have inbuilt familial relations, and this is what we. This is somebody mentioned previously. Why not call them kindred? Because a kindred is a family unit. So, for instance, to bring back my lovely book over here, in this book, there is Toke Stonehewer and his kindred that are exploring the Macarian sector for resources and planets to claim. So, in one to give the short answer before we delve into the four pillars a little later, when a Votann kin emerges from the crucible, they have everything that they need to function in a society. There is no such thing as childhood for the leagues of Votann. You will never find a kid on a void station or a planet hold that they have or something like that. They have their language. They have some memories. It's I've read it about like I've read the I read that section a bunch of times, and I'm honestly not sure if they get like exgenic memories from older dead Votannians. I'm not quite sure about that one, but they definitely have stuff preloaded into their beings in order to immediately be ready to grab a gun and shoot the nearest orc if it
Right.
comes to it. However, they have an imprinted genetic idea of who is related to me, who belongs to my kindred, and they know that on an instinctual level, and that's why family is an incredibly important idea for
It's
the League of Votann.
That's true. What's interesting about this question, it's actually one of the most debated things in the lore about whether the Votann understand sex and romance, because the canon has never explicitly confirmed it either way, but there's evidence that points in both directions. Like what Victor was saying, the canon says, the lore says that there's the first truth, which is that the
Yes,
kin have been
our
a
kin.
the Votann kin.
We're all kin,
The Votann kin have been a cloned people from the very beginning, and they're
which I don't believe.
what
Which
this is what the lore says.
yeah, go on.
And that the Votann control genetic templates and decide how many new Votann kin to produce.
Yes.
Every Votann kin emerges, as Victor says, as an adult. They already possess all their motor skills. They already possess their language. They're immediately assigned a name by the ancestor core, not their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that's done. However, it does get a little ambiguous when you talk about the Ironhead squats, the
Yes.
prospectors from Necromunda, because they are depicted with familial relationships that do imply sexual reproduction. Two of their most prominent
Correct.
characters are stated to be brothers, and their father is referenced directly in the background material, which implies to me that they are cut off from the whole
Crucible
core crucible.
cloning
Right.
thing, which is, if you like to go back to that little interjection I made, if you ask me, this little truth of theirs, I don't buy it because what anyone who wants to like start on a base level, the Votannians or Votankin or just kin, they are abhumans. They
Yes.
are not aliens.
Correct.
They came from they alongside during before even the dark age of technology, it was like during the uh
Age of Strife, which
Age
is
of Strife. Yeah,
yeah,
actually, yeah, somewhere around there. That's when all of the colony ships of humanity went out from Terra, Earth back then, and settled the stars. The the creatures, for lack of a better term, that we would become, we would know as Votann kin, they were adapted by the ancestor cores, the supercomputers, to survive the incredibly hazardous, tempestuous environment that exists in the galactic core.
which is not yeah. You don't want to be there
You
if you're
don't
not
want to
a
be there.
kin.
It's a
If you're
bad
not a
place.
Votann kin, yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
rough to live there.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure orcs like love to go in there, but they probably get shredded too. But then again, Votann are toughness 5, orcs are toughness 5. I'm sure they'll manage. So at some point, they weren't cloned on those colony ships unless they had a standard template construct for the Crucible, and they decided instead of instead of stasis, they would just endlessly clone themselves on the journey, which is not stated anywhere, but that's what I think happened. And then they simply never stopped.
Yeah,
However, as you pointed out, Ross, and I wasn't sure about how Necromunda squats reproduce, and it is implied that they do so. That tells me that even their cloned bodies might still have the ability to reproduce normally, which honestly, considering that the entire overarching theme of the latest Leagues of Votann Codex is, oh no, the ancestor cores aren't reproducing us fast enough. What the heck are we going to do?
yeah.
Might
This might
be
yeah.
a future like split or schism within the leagues where some of them say we're going to die if we don't start reproducing normally, and then there are the traditionalist Votannians who say we will never break with
Right.
the Votann because to do so is tantamount to suicide.
It's good enough for my father, good enough for his father, so it's
It,
good enough for me.
well, it was good enough for my clone scheme, so
Right.
it's good enough for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I
Now,
am go ahead, go ahead.
I was just saying I do have an answer for this that is my own speculation and but as far as the question about the relationships, the closest that lore talks about for for romance is, and again, I haven't read the Black Library novel, but there is
Same
this
here. I haven't either.
there's this intense quasi telepathic familial bond that the clone siblings share that come from the same crucible. This is
I'd
framed.
say instinctual, not telepathic.
Yeah, it's definitely not psychic. I just want to be really
No.
clear.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that.
yeah.
Um, but it is a platonic kinship. It is not romance.
No.
But like Victor says, I think that the kin biology probably does retain the capacity for sexual reproduction. They are descendants of baseline humans,
Hmm.
but within their league holds, the crucible cloning has become such a dominant, culturally normalized method of population growth that, as Victor pointed out, they're probably going to cling to that as long as they can. So, whether romance or sex plays any meaningful cultural role in this society, we don't know.
Now,
We literally don't know.
a fascinating question to explore in the future is what happens if this a theoretical split happens. I'm not saying it will. Who knows where Games Workshop wants to take this, but that would mean that the Votannians would have to rediscover things like courtship and romance, and they'd have to make them up from first principles, and that would, like, who knows what sort of weird nonsense they could come up with, because just because we, regular humans, have boxes of chocolates and flowers. I don't roll that way. I give my fiance swords and shields, but that's beside the point. Who knows? Maybe a Votannian gives, here is my art master crafted bolt revolver. Would you marry me? There you go. Like stuff like that. Right. Was that all of it?
I believe that catches us up on the super chats. If we missed any, please do let us know in the chat. But I think we hit them all.
My goodness, that was a lot.
Well, hey, our fan community, the Lure Seekers, they are very passionate about the show, and they want to know what's in our brains because we are the Lorebeards.
Nah, fair enough. All right. So
yeah. So
Ross.
This is the introduction of the Votann. Let's talk about that. This is 9th edition. So it's 2022. April Fool's Day, they're like, hey, squats are maybe coming back, and everybody's like, oh, how funny. I remember I was like, man, that is an old joke. And then the very next day, they're like, no, they're actually coming back. April 2nd was when they announced it. They were released.
They had to say, not April Fool's joke.
Yeah, they had to be really clear. We are not joking about this.
Mm-hmm.
But September of that year, 2022, that's when we got the first Codex Leagues of Votann. So they are only 4 years old. Basically, we are currently in August, so just almost 4 years old.
Almost, yeah. We're getting there. We're getting there. I bet they won't have. I bet they won't have a new codex by the time they hit 4 years old, but that's beside the point. Anyway.
So the Leagues of Votann, it's a common misconception to call the individual beings that you see the models for Votann, but that is not true. The Votann are specifically an ancient machine intelligence that the kin revere.
Yes.
They have been called squats, but other species know them by different names. The Tau call them the Demiurge. The Eldari call them the Heliosi Ancients, which I like.
That is a very good name. I like
right?
it. Yeah.
Other
that's where all the creativity went when they came up with kin.
Other peoples call them the Nostari or the Grome or the Craig.
Okay, that last one definitely they ran out of ideas on that last one.
Oh my gosh. So according to the kin, their own first truths are these are traditions that are treated as indisputable fact, despite the rest of their history is blurring into myth. But according to these first truths, their earliest ancestors departed a homeland, which is almost certainly old Earth.
They think it's Terra.
They think it's old Earth.
They're not quite sure, but they think it is.
During the Dark Age of technology, aboard sublight interstellar generation ships, this was called the Long March vessels, as Victor pointed out earlier. Mm-hmm. These fleets were composed of miners, not like kids, but like people who mine in the mines.
Diggy hole.
Prospectors and void dredgers, which I love that term.
That is an excellent name. I love that.
They were seeking the resource riches of the galaxy, and for unclear reasons, the majority of these ships plunged into the galactic core rather than returning to human settled space.
For some weird reason. I'm sure the Ancestor Core told them to do it and that it was a good idea, which gives it a little sinister aspect if you think about it.
From the very beginning of their recorded memory, they have always been a cloned people, and the robotic Ironkin have been with them since those earliest days. Now, they take their name, the Votann, from a figure or group of figures, which are variously known as the Primal Ancestor, or the Gilded One, or the Stone Mind, which I really like that one.
That's a good one.
The myths disagree on whether the Votann was one being or many. The kin, who are very pragmatic and very secular, they do not believe in gods, okay? They accept that these myths are too contradictory to be treated as literal fact. So over time, the references to Votann and the machine intelligences called ancestor cores became interchangeable in kin speech. And the first ancestors are credited with engineering the genetic diversity within the kin's gene pool, which you need to have, as anybody who's taken biology understands.
Although, weirdly enough, they're not interbreeding, so the diversity is, sure, like you need the diversity to work on different problems, but it's not there's no risk of incest among them.
That's another reason why I think that maybe they are capable and just don't do it. because
yeah,
they seem to
they,
have been built for keeping a diverse gene pool for the normal means of reproduction.
yes, I have a theory, which is just my theory, which is that uh, the clone machines, the crucible, as they call it, was always meant to be a backup, and they instead normalized it to such an extent that they use nothing else, and the cloning machines are probably breaking down now.
Because
So
they were not meant to be the primary.
no, it just like how the Votann themselves, the ancestor cores, were not supposed to have so much information or Google Chrome tabs as the joke goes open for more than 10,000 years. It's been, my goodness, it's been like tens of thousands of years, multiples. So yeah, no wonder they're like breaking down and like showing like cracks in the foundation, to borrow a phrase.
Yeah, well, we're not exactly sure what if the calendar in Warhammer 40K is accurate. This has been pointed out numerous times.
True. But
So
like, it's a
yeah,
long
it's a long time.
time.
Certainly over 10,000, possibly more than
I would
20,000 or
say
30,000 years.
I
So
would say tens of thousands of years
yeah,
without putting a hard number on it.
that's probably fair.
You probably can't keep such an arcane technology going for that long, especially since they have started to sort of ritualize things,
Right.
and that now they're starting to creep into AdMech territory, which they will of course hate you for pointing that out, but that's a
Now,
grudge, definitely.
let's talk about their physiology. Kin
Yes,
are short, they're powerfully built, they are abhuman, so they look very similar to us. They're just roughly 4 feet tall on average.
and very broad.
They possess dense muscular and skeletal systems. In fact, their physiology lets them approach the raw power of a space marine. They're very, very strong, very, very tough.
Hmm.
Despite being a cloned race, gestated in these artificial wombs called crucibles, they are not identical copies. They
No.
have these stable genetic variations called clone skeins, and these produce a broad range of physical traits from enhanced radiation resistance or infrared vision to unusual eye or skin colorations and craggy subdermal ridges, which
Yes, I love the minis
Klingon
that have
esque.
like it's like they're turning slowly turning into stone. That's a
Which,
very
yeah,
cool visual identity, and
that was old squat lores that they would turn into stone the
yes,
longer they
their
lived.
like the older they got, the more like craggy and
Yeah.
stone like they got, which once again taking a thread and plugging it into the modern Votann lore, which I very much like.
So the can are progressive though, because any clone scheme traits that are visible are seen as badges of valuable ability rather than like, oh, you're different and wrong.
Yes. It's a gift from the ancestors, quite literally, because the ancestor core granted a very specific permutation on a template. The if a kin is a template dwarf, just take your generic dwarf, and then you sprinkle in the little like different skin color to resist radiation better, and then like strange looking, like slightly weird looking eyes for low light vision, stuff like that. And that's more like somebody points out it provides resilience to sickness. I'm sure that also comes into it, but in my mind, that is more for there is a very specific task that the ancestor core has in mind, being like, we need more people to become to join the mining guilds. So what do? You give them low light vision, you give them like slightly more resilient skin, stuff like that, and then out you go. And when we talk about Uthar the Destined, which he is kind of, in my mind, he's kind of a joke character, but he does show that the Votann, the ancestor cores, have intent. They have something that they want to happen, but the Votann kin aren't quite sure what that is anymore. It's getting the the Chrome tabs are getting a little hard to tab through, so to speak. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
There's a defining trait of the kin that their souls shine more dimly in the warp than human souls do. And the kin do not experience uncontrolled psychic mutations. They are typically highly resistant to demonic possession and chaos corruption, and they don't have any like what the Imperium would consider real psychers amongst them. There is some specific clone schemes that are a little more psychoactive than others. This is one of them is called the Grimnir, which
Yes.
that's a reference from Warhammer Fantasy.
Ah, yeah, it's Grimnir. Woo, he's back. Except this time he's a Psyker Dwarf, which honestly, I I like the idea that they like flipped the idea that dwarfs don't have wizards on their head, and they're like, nope, these dwarfs have wizards, and it's a little like it's a bit safer
Oh,
than
it's
what
way safer. It's
humans
way
do,
safer. This,
and but it's not as powerful, I would
no,
argue.
it definitely is not. So what these guys do, these ones that have the psychoactive clone schemes, they use technology to kind of give themselves a buffer, right?
Yes,
It's called barrier tech devices that allow very limited, very safe interaction with the Empyrean, with the warp, and
yes.
they produce psycho-like effects that way rather than opening their minds open to the warp directly, which is what human psychers do.
Correct. It's Walmart psycher. Like it's this we have psychers at home.
Timu psycher.
Yeah, Timu psycher. Like sure, if it looks like a psyker and it shoots lightning out of his hands like a psyker and projects a telekinetic dome like a psyker, sure. Who are we to say that it's not a psyker?
Let's talk about their social structure. They have
Yeah.
3 levels of belonging to their culture. They have the kindred. This is your basic social unit. And these are kin that are all cloned from the same crucible. They all share a very strong genetic bond. The kindreds can range from a few dozen to millions.
Yes, correct. Depending on how active and how big the league is, because some leagues, it's like some kindreds are, well, some leagues are very small, and the Crucible doesn't make it many more of them, and some, like the Greater Thurian League, is the biggest one, and it has so many like kin being made that it's absolutely ridiculous.
The next step up from kindred is called the hold. The holds are the home base of a kindred. This is where you get the like a fortress city or an armed void station or a mobile mining fleet. These are structures that are adapted to the galactic core's extremes of gravity and energy and things of other stuff. These points. So if you want to think about like the strongest fortresses in 40k, holds are extremely strong. They're durable.
It's a dwarf fortress. What do you?
It's a dwarf hold. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then the next step up from that is the leagues. And the leagues are alliances or confederations of multiple kindreds together.
Originally military alliances to protect a Votann, an ancestor core. And then they slowly morphed into what they became today with their
Which is
individual. Yes, go ahead.
It's part military coalition and part mercantile conglomerate. They are.
Yes. Some leaning more in one direction than the other.
They're kind of like merchant confederations nowadays, but they do share heraldry amongst the same league. They share trade agreements. They share tariffs of their guilds. It is the capitalism is strong with the kin.
Yeah, it's it is how to put it, like the actually never mind. I completely blanked on what I was just going to say. It had to do with oh yeah, actually yeah, it was going back to the little family unit. I am very curious if how to put this. I'm very curious if, depending on if they have a mobile hold, like the void-faring fleets, I'm very curious uh, how the distribution of
Mm.
kindred, so to speak, all around the place.
Yeah, does
Like,
each kindred have its own ship, or does ships
yeah,
contain multiple
does
kindreds?
like do that like does an individual like what is a Votann fleet? Like, is everyone on a single fleet like in the same kindred? It doesn't feel like it. Like the way that kindreds get described, it definitely doesn't. Like, it feels a lot smaller. Like they're
Mm,
trying to be like, hey, this is a family unit. But then we get that whole millions like
right,
sentence, which things get complicated at that point. Like, at what point does a kindred turn into a league?
right. Like
It's
I personally have my family, right?
yes.
And then I've got my household, right? And
Yeah.
then I've got my identity as living in my city of Denver, right?
Yes.
And then I've got my identity of living in the state of Colorado, and then I've got my identity as living in the country of the United States, and then I've got my identity as a human. Like those are all
Exactly.
different levels of things. So
True. But you definitely wouldn't call like you definitely wouldn't say, "Oh, I am a human, therefore I am related to a guy who is on the opposite side of the galaxy, but technically we're in the same league."
right,
It's like the cutoff points is what I was trying to get at. I like they are seemingly kept very fuzzy and vague, probably on purpose, if you ask me.
that's right.
So I like sure these terms are all well and good, but they are like very like if you were to ask me, oh, how would you cut the mustard, so to speak, I would be hard pressed to tell you.
Yeah, that's true. Now,
Yeah.
every kindred is governed from a spherical council chamber. Victor, can you pronounce the name of this for me? Because I want to make sure I get it right. It's something like Spacaronde or something like that.
Oh, Spaccarante.
Spacaronde, thank you. And this is
Although,
where
although I will say, I have a sneaking suspicion that whoever at Games Workshop decided to use all of the extra
mm,
letters on the keyboard that normally only reserved for like Eastern Europeans and stuff. Uh, I cannot guarantee that the O with the two dots above it,
the umlaut. Yes.
the umlaut, is pronounced the same way that the Icelandic is pronounced. So Spekarönde, I don't even know if the E is supposed to be pronounced either, but it's also called the hearthspake is what you're
Hmm.
talking about.
Yes.
So let's just use the
The
more
hearthstone.
pronounceable name. Yes.
And this is where you get your guild masters and your senior military officers and the Grimnirs.
And yes, indeed, the Lord Grimnir and all of his little psyker followers.
His Grimlings.
His Grimlings, yes. Oh, goodness.
Right. This
Mm,
is where they debate their policy. And
yes.
the kin are described. What's interesting about the kin, although they are capitalists, they are described as being largely earnest and honest, and they don't generally have that self-interested political scheming that's common to other species. But they are very stubborn debaters. They will spend a lot of time working out
Yes.
their arguments.
Which, if they have as long lives as we think they do, although I don't think their lifespan is mentioned anywhere,
Mm.
let's just assume that they have like dwarfen lifespans, which can get into like a couple hundreds ish. Which, if when you have that sort of lifespan, you can in fact stand on principle for a long time. Well, so long as the orcs aren't knocking on the door.
So yeah, I did. I so the old lore for the squad
Yeah.
said that they lived about 300 years, and that was normal.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Like,
And some of the
and when they hit that living ancestor status, then they started to turn into stone, if I remember correctly.
yeah, they could live up to potentially like 800 years, and the living ancestors or ancestor lords, so those are the guys that turn into stone.
Yeah,
Um, so also the older lore tied their psychic ability to their longevity. So the longer they lived, the more psychic they got.
that was a weird choice, but okay.
Well, it apparently they drew strength from the accumulated prestige of their ancestors, which I, you know,
Eh, whatever that means. That
the
is a
current Current lore
That's a
says
phrase.
they're long lived and that they live natural lives, which are many times the former lifespan. But we don't know what that is.
Yeah,
So
exactly. What it's like, oh, they live longer than they used to. Okay, sure. Like,
if I
well,
had to guess, I would say somewhere around the 100 to 250-year range is
yeah,
probably
like
that's where I would
that
go.
seems about right. Like you can probably like once you're up in your second century, that's when you know you've made it big.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so now, Victor, do me a favor. Tell us about the four pillars.
Right. One moment, just so that I don't mess this up. I know I said I don't use notes, but this is important, and these aren't notes.
And we're
I
not
am
a role playing
literally
game.
referencing the source material here. So cut me some slack.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
So let me just find the page. Also, I will say there is so much good artwork in the new Leagues of Votann book. It is
Okay,
excellent.
quick aside. The Games Workshop books were all black and white to a point, and then they switched over to full color, really high glossy, product production value. And here's the thing: I think they did this in reaction to the Warhammer 40k roleplay line, because the Warhammer 40k roleplay line was full color from the very beginning and had high production values. And I
Wait,
think
was Dark Heresy not black and white, or am
no,
I?
it was full color.
It was full color. Why am
Yeah,
I?
there's the occasional we
Oh
used.
yeah, you're right. There is the occasional black and white, but those artworks live in my head, especially the full page one of the Hive where you look up
Yeah,
and
for the Tyrant Star. Yeah,
for the Tyrant Star,
yeah.
exactly. That piece, like it is so like it's such a good piece that in my mind it's like, oh yeah, all of Dark Heresy is black and white, but no, they're not.
There,
Right.
and so I don't know. I'm going to say like I may be talking completely out of my butt, but it feel like Games Workshop was like, hey, those role playing game books look really damn good. We should probably up our game a little bit. Uh,
Yeah.
they
Also,
started to move towards full color around fifth edition, and I think once they hit sixth, it was all
yeah, it was it
glossy,
was it
high
was
full
after
color.
fourth was the last black and white one, which once again, to circle us back to the what I said previously, the Grim Derp version. Also, am I just am I losing my mind here? Why can't I find the four pillars? I know I
Well,
read it.
I can take it over if you like. It's no big deal.
Sure, go for it. I'm sure
All
when
right.
you start talking about it, I'll find it. What the heck?
So the kindred's life and identity, they rest on what are called the four pillars. That is quoted in their. It's called scripture. I mean, I would call it scripture, but it's they don't treat it as religion, to be clear. But the four pillars are the hearth, the forge, the fane, and the crucible. Now you already know
Oh
what the
my!
crucible is.
Of course, as soon as you mentioned it, I found it.
The
Right.
crucible are
So
the cloning wombs. They sustain the kindred's population.
yeah.
And they're guarded by the Embir, which are or Embir. I think Embir is how I pronounce it. They're the guardians, the oath sworn guardians of the crucibles.
Wait, how do you spell that?
Embyr.
Fair enough. I don't think the codex mentioned those. It must have been a previous codex entry, which kind of got dropped. Well, they
Well,
forgot to mention it.
we are talking about a lot of different lore from different times and things like
Fair
that. So
enough.
to be
Fair
clear,
enough.
it's
A
confusion's going
lot
to reign.
confusion reigns, I guess. But yes. So starting with the hearth, which is the just is isn't that like the central like part of a hold?
It's a plasma reactor that provides power and is also a symbolic life force for their kindred.
Right. 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 Right.
And then there's the forge, and this is where the Brokier, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Brokir, Ironkin, and Iron Masters. Yes.
These are the blacksmiths, if you will, the
Yes.
constructors, the tech not tech priests, but tech crafters. I think they take it.
Artisans, if you will.
Yeah, artisans. There you go. And that's where they craft their weapons and technology.
Yes.
And then tell us about the Fane. What are the
So
Fanes?
the Fane is it used to be in ages past, it was just an interface. It was a place in the hold where a member of the kin could walk up to an ancestor core, type in a question, and receive an answer. However, in modern times, in the 42nd millennium, depending on what calendar you use for the Imperium, a Grimnir, a Psycherdwarf, walks into a semi-ritualized space. They do resist any sort of. They try and resist making it too symbolic, but a Grimnir walks into the Fane, and he provides uh, interaction between the rest of the League and their ancestor core. Now, as we've been hinting at previously, and with our many jokes, this is not quite so straightforward anymore. A Grimnir today will go into the Fane and he will ask the Ancestor Core for guidance. A situation has come up and we don't know what to do. So we ask you, oh Votann, what Votann of the Hold, give us your wisdom. And depending on the Votann, he can either reply with nothing because he's too busy processing like 3,000 other requests that have been put in and he hasn't had the RAM to get through because everything is so clogged with information. He might also spout out some nonsense, which the Grimnir, the plural Grimnir, will discuss amongst themselves as to what exactly it means and what exactly, like, if it actually means anything. And or it could fire up the Crucible. It could fire up the Crucible and the Forge to make a brand new set of either set or individual kin and weapons, and that's the answer that they give. Which, honestly, I don't know how I don't know how they're still functioning at this point. As in, like, Votann society, it's like, yes, we have this amazing supercomputer that has never let us down in the history of our long, long lives. And now now they're starting to hallucinate. Some of them are some of them are getting personality quirks, which is even more like devastating because some of them are becoming insanely aggressive and like, for instance, I'm pretty sure the Cronus hegemony has one of these aggressive Votann, which just tell them, oh, there's a problem, go kill it, easy. Which, who knows?
I do see a couple of comments I'd like to address really quick.
Go for it.
This is one from Darth Plagueis the Wise. He asks, how much money does a kin get when it is born? So, fun answer. We don't really know. There's no lore confirming that they get money, currency, or like anything from being born. But the thing is, the wealth and resources in kin society are governed by the guilds. The guilds set the trade standards and the tariffs and the pricing across the league. It's not distributed like starting capital or anything, but your economic role in the Votann is that you're tied to your guild membership and your occupation. So I presume that there is some sort of debt that is then repaid over time with that guild. I don't know for sure.
I have you said debt, and I have an idea why that debt is incurred. Because when you are born, or rather when you step out of the Crucible, fully formed, they probably need to give you some stuff because you're naked.
Right?
So there you are, brand new Votann kin, and you're absolutely in the absolute full frontal nudity.
Right.
And they have to get all of the like cloning, like vat fluids off of you because you're probably dripping wet and all that good stuff. And then, depending on what clone scheme you've been given, they probably just hand you a bunch of stuff tell you to put on the void suit to show some dignity, and then they either hand you a pick or an
Or a gun.
autark pattern bolt gun
Yep.
and tell you th- that way that way for the battlefront or the mines, off you go. So
Yeah,
go
their
ahead.
their their culture treats waste and unearned excess as deeply shameful. So
Yes.
they would not be they do not have like billionaires like we would imagine billionaires.
Most likely not, because honestly, a single Votann kin having a whole bunch of wealth that they're not doing anything with? Absolutely not. You
Right.
can't have that.
Their culture is they're very survivalist, and their area that they live in, they prioritize resources. Like resources are very
Yes,
important.
like
So
it is very pragmatic to have a brand new member of your society being able to contribute like that.
mhm.
Is like, oh yeah, we got stuff that needs doing, and apparently the ancestor core agrees that stuff needs doing. Here is the equipment, the bare bones equipment that you will need to do the thing. Because the apparently the forge is connected to the Votann, and it can just make things, and the kin get really excited when stuff just automatically starts to be made, because that's usually a sign that the crucible is about to be fired up, which honestly is like thinking about giddy dwarves when weapons start being made by themselves. Oh, it's like perfect visual metaphor.
I agree.
Yes.
Also got a comment here from Charlie the Turtle. Welcome, Charlie the Turtle. First time I've seen you. He says, "How is the relationship between the Votann and the orcs? Any similarities between that relationship and the one in fantasy?"
It's probably
Short answer: yes.
probably the same. I can't think of I can't think of
So the lore
a
is very
story
clear.
where yeah, they fight each other.
The
Like,
lore is very clear. The orcs are the Leagues of Votann's single most hated and most frequent enemy.
although weirdly enough, they have the word that they have for the enemy is for reserved for the Tyranids this time.
True, but
The
the,
Bane, as they call it.
that is true. The Tyranids are considered the bane, but the orcs, according to the lore, the orcs have inflicted more warfare on the kin than any other species, and they are viewed with a special category of contempt beyond the Tyranids or the Necrons or the Chaos.
Right.
It's rooted in their cultural values because the orcs are considered chaotic and wasteful and destructive, anathema to everything that the kin value. So the
Yeah.
kin are meticulous, they're resource conscious, they treat waste as a near sacred sin.
And
Orcs are like,
the orcs are not that.
yeah, they are entirely unpredictable. They show up en masse, they smash all the carefully engineered kin
They
infrastructure,
smell.
and they replace it with all these crude scrap bullshit, these
Yeah.
constructions that are
They have no idea how to make any of their stuff.
right.
They make it poorly, and they also don't know how any of their stuff works, which is just what sort of nonsense is that? But yeah, orcs and the kin are very much complete opposites to each other. Like, it's almost as if they were made to fight each other, which
Now,
who knows?
fun fact, the Imperium tends to underestimate orcs, and they tend to think of them as kind of like weak. I mean, if you look at the Imperial Infantryman's uplifting primer, for example,
Oh, I
right?
love it. It's great. I have 2 copies.
But unlike that, the Votann take the orc aggression very seriously, and they consider them a genuine existential danger.
Yes, correct. There is a reason why I keep mentioning orcs specifically, because orcs are everywhere.
Well,
And
their biology means that they can flourish in the galactic core. The harsh conditions there still mean that orcs can live.
yeah, exactly. Like, I know I made the joke earlier that the Votann kin and orcs with a K, very specific, to differentiate them from fantasy, they both have incredibly hardy biology.
Hmm.
And I would hazard a guess that the reason that they are so, like, opposed to each other is because the orcs were probably among the few galactic species that could actually attack them
Yeah,
in the galactic core?
they're basically locked into a permanent proximity and conflict. So
Yes.
that is the thing. But there's also the 500 Years War that we need to talk about.
Ah, right.
There was a devastating conflict called the 500 Years War, and this is when Wog Morbach overran the hold of, I'm going to try to get this name, the hold of Oriak's Iron Gate kindred, and tore apart the ancestor core housed within it.
Yeah, that's a grudging right there.
Losing a Votann to orc violence is about as severe a wound as kin society can suffer, man. That is.
It is devastating. Like only followed up by losing. Well, we'll get into his story in a bit, but losing an entire hold to Tyranids, which we'll get into the existential dread of that one in a bit.
But losing an ancestor core, it strips you of your link to the past, your genetic archive, and basically your cultural identity all at the same time.
It also means that everybody that died for that in the defense of that ancestor core died for nothing. Like
it's considered grievous and unforgivable to the kin. And so this gets entered into their book of grudges.
Yes.
Which, in the case of the kin, a grudge is defined as a pledge to destroy an identified foe, no matter the cost. It's basically, yes. it's vengeance at any cost for an intolerable insult.
Which is very strange because this is the one time that the Votann drop some of their truths in order to do this, because it is incredibly wasteful and it is incredibly unpragmatic.
Nope.
to follow grudges.
It is. It's pure revenge.
Yeah. It feels like very counterintuitive for like such a strange counterintuitive forces to exist in the same society. It's like, yes, we are pragmatic and smart and we think about things and we're not like those stupid humans who get themselves killed for stupid reasons.
Right.
Wait, an orc killed an ancestor core? Get him!
Yes. The kin are secular. They don't really go into religion and devotion. But in this case, desire for vengeance against the orcs is basically, it has that same weight as a religious vow, because the kindreds that are affected by this, I mean, this is as close to a devotional duty as it gets for the kin. They have to do this.
Correct. When they do it, it is like they do swear an oath, like very fantasy dwarf oath-esque, which I said I'm going to do this. I'm now going to do this, or me and a whole bunch of my kindred are going to die to try and do this. Which, considering the like slowing down of the population replenishment that they have, will start to become even more counterintuitive and possibly like once again that might remember that original schism that I mentioned that probably won't happen, but Games Workshop, if you're stealing ideas, steal mine. Like, think about that. It's like, oh no, we the traditionalists will hold to the grudges, and I'm not even sure what to call the other groups. I'm sure a good name can be found, but they would be like, we have to stop like declaring these grudges, and we have to start repopulating because we are in trouble.
Now, fun fact, the kin do get along pretty well with Eldari and Tau by and large, and they have trade agreements with them, but orcs are just flat out hostility.
Like, yeah, in the same sense that the kin will trade with the Imperium depending on who it is. I think they try and avoid the AdMech as much as they can for reasons
Obvious reasons, yeah.
for obvious reasons, because if we haven't mentioned it, the ancestor cores are abominable intelligence, as the AdMech would call it. They are purely silicon, or whatever the heck they're made of.
Well, we did cover this when we talked about Ark and Land, is that it's actually a bit hypocritical to say that if the Votann are from an STC, which it technically is AI,
Yes.
there might be a loophole, but yeah, let's just say by and large, the kin do not want the AdMech involved in their business because it would risk the ancestor course. Let's put it that way.
Yes, yeah. If the AdMech, they have suspicions, like there are rumors that float about that the kin have thinking machines. But for instance, like the Iron Kin, they are a smaller version of this. They are a thinking machine.
They're a robot.
There's no organic. Well, the cogs are robots. The Ironkin have sentience. Like the little assistant guys for the Brokir Iron Master guy, like those.
Yeah, those are like drones. Yeah,
those are little worker drones. Like the Grimnir, they have cogs. Like they have little worker drones with guns that the Grimnir telepathically tells where to shoot. And
probably more like a mind impulse unit. But
yeah, sort of. Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta flavor it up psychically somehow,
right? I mean, because they are Grimnir, right?
They are psychers, so you gotta lean into it a little bit, because otherwise we start to get into a lot of trouble regarding what is a telepath if a mind impulse gets sent electronically.
Right. Yeah, that does raise some questions.
we gotta start asking some questions here, and that. Funnily enough, I ran a very short Black Crusade campaign once, and one of my heretics was obsessed with making a psychic servitor. We got up to
that is tech heresy.
we got up to failed experiment 23 before the campaign ended. He got close. He got real close.
Wow.
But their heads kept exploding when he tried to send the little signal to make the psychic power happen. So it was very funny, because I had those Black Crusade characters show up in my Dark Heresy game, and I upped the number of failed experiments to 53.
That's great.
Yes. Anywho, what were we talking about again?
The fact that they have relationships with trade relationships with the Tau and the Eldari.
They talk to the Imperium. They talk to the Tau. They talk to the Eldari, and even what's it called, the pulse rifle that the Tau have comes, the base design comes from an exchange with what they call the Demiurge, what we would call the Votann kin, and they then the Tau then took that technology and expanded on it, made it, in my estimation, way better. If the tabletop is anything to go by, the pulse rifle that the Tau have versus the ion gun that the Votann have, honestly, it's not even close. So,
well, the Eldar are still the king of plasma weapons with the star cannon, but
yeah. That's. I don't think the Eldar were going to debase themselves by adapting some squat human tech.
They're too proud for that. You're right.
Indeed.
Got a super chat here. Would you like to read
it? From Sebastian Muller, the Dane. And where are the Votann now?
The Votann are now simply digging. Just keep digging. Just keep digging.
There's some punctuation missing there, buddy. But
yes, my gosh,
indeed.
Sebastian, we love you. It's fine.
I love you. Don't worry, buddy. It's fine. I'll point out all your discrepancies and misspelling.
I didn't know you were going to be this hostile host.
No. Don't worry. If there hadn't been any Danes in this broadcast, you would never have known.
Oh my gosh.
They're not. This This is too trust me, this is
killing me.
there's hundreds of years of animosity
Oh
built
my
up
god.
and brought and then epigenetically brought to life through me. Which, speaking of epigenetics, which is pretty much something that the Votann plant onto their newborn kin.
Right. So we talked about the four pillars,
We did.
and we talked about a little bit about the guilds.
A little mention of mining guild here and there, but other than that, we could probably do a little bit of a more deep dive on those.
Right, because there's not a lot to say about guilds, but they do cut across the league and kindred lines. So you could
Yes.
have a guild that has members from multiple kindreds, even multiple leagues in the same guild.
Right.
And
Right.
what it does is it unites them it unites the ones that share a single occupation, like mining or engineering or trade or voidcraft repair. So the engineering guild is a cross or pan league, pan kindred organization.
Yes, which a good follow-up question for the Games Workshop writer who typed that out is is there just one standard for every single Brokir Iron Master in the entire thing? Because a guild, well, most guilds, from what I've seen, don't have names. Meaning, is it? It is most. Did the Danes destroy an Icelandic Votann or something? You'd think so, depending. Look, it's very old history, and I don't think I have time for it now. I could do an entire stream
He's
on.
mostly joking, guys. He's mostly
I am
joking.
mostly joking, but it is very much like it's think about it as uh Danes and Swedes not liking each other. It's kind of like that, and they actually had an insane number of wars. Iceland has never been to war. We don't have a military, so
Uh,
there's it was kind of a one-way relationship.
let's
About
stick to the fictional wars.
let's stick to the fictional grudges and all
Yes,
that good stuff.
please, please.
Anywho, I'm sorry, Sebastian. You'll have to wait for a stream where we're discussing old Nordic history, which I don't think this topic can be stretched that far. Anywho, right.
Well, I mean, the Lorebeards channel, we are very broad sometimes in our approaches, but
I don't think I can.
the only thing I want to talk about with the guilds is that the Engineers Guild is kind of where we get the Hernkin Rangers. That's kind of the aesthetic of the older squat engineer guild, for example.
Yes, the whole guy in the long coat with the goggles on his head.
Right.
I the I know I don't think this is I don't know if this was written anywhere, but in my mind, the squat army that I run, the leader of it is a Brokir. So the guy in charge of keeping the literal land train running is the guy in charge of the expedition, because they're busy zooming around a planet trying to trying to get off world, but they keep running into mostly Gene Stealer cults because Alexis was playing Gene Stealer cults back in 9th edition. Very fun. And that was, we had a little mining party, and I had all of my trikes riding alongside and all that good stuff. I don't think, correct me if I'm mistaken here, but I don't think the Hernkin, like the rangers and the explorers and the surveyors, I don't think there's mention of them having a guild.
No,
So to
not
speak.
specifically. I was just saying they're influenced by that
Oh,
aesthetic.
right. All right, you were saying just the way that they're
They look, yeah.
the look that they have.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair enough. They do fit very good.
This is a
Pumpkin
great one for you.
historian.
So basically, there's a conflict between cloners and fuckers.
You said it, not me.
I'm imagining a kid trying to understand a 21st century sex ed book and is just confused by it.
Look, I wasn't gonna name him that because I couldn't think of anything better. But I'm sure somebody can get paid real British pounds to come up with something better sounding than that.
Necreds Kobold, would you like to read this one?
From knowing about both space dwarfs and new fantasy plus dwarfs, read AOS, Games Workshop seems to have struggled with dwarfs in general until very recently. That's just it, though. All they really did was take like fantasy dwarfs, and they just took it one step further than the squats. Because there's a very easy through line between we made fantasy dwarfs, we made dwarfs in space, aka squats, and then the Votann kin, which, like, I don't I don't know who, because Games Workshop doesn't credit their authors anymore because
That is a problem.
reasons.
Yeah.
Which, like, if we had the names of authors, like the way, like the role playing books do it, like, I wish I could know who was in charge of a project, who were the writers, who were the artists. Like, usually it's a list, like, usually it's always the same list of people because the role playing game industry is very tiny, like you can attest to. And, like, if you read through, like, the if you start at Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition and you read through every single book from the core book for Warfare First Edition and all the way to the latest book that Cubicle 7 has put out, you would be shocked at how many repeat names there are. Like,
It's true.
for instance, Ross, I have seen your name so many times. In fact, I've seen it so many times that when Andy and Sotek invited myself and Alexis to talk about this Lorebeards 40K, I named you after two things that Andy said. He said you had worked on Dark Heresy and Wrath and Glory, and he said you were not working on anything right now. And I immediately clocked your name.
Nice.
Like you can ask Andy and Sotek if you ever even remember it. But yes, it is not difficult to figure out who belongs to this little section. So I do so lovingly wish we could know who is writing the army books and the codices and all that stuff, because we might actually be able to, in an archaeological manner, figure out the point when somebody went, "Oh, hey, remember the squats? Yeah, I think I can do that."
Well, so first of all, I do want to say like a little bit about credit.
Yeah,
In the role play game industry, you don't make a lot of money, and so
that's fair.
I like to say the most important things you can get is a copy of your book that you made and your name in the book. Like that was always very important to me as a developer to make sure everyone was credited appropriately for what they did. And it is a shame, in my opinion, that Games Workshop doesn't do that. But I want to say something else about the creative process. Like it's easy for us to look and say, okay, well, this clearly goes from here to there to X to Y to Z, right? But in the trenches, that is
It
not
doesn't
always
feel like it.
clear. It's not always obvious.
Right.
So it can be a thing where let's just say that creation is work like anything else, and it does take a lot of effort, and sometimes what can seem obvious to the outside from a different perspective doesn't always come from the inside of the team. This is why collaboration is very important. This is why you need to have multiple viewpoints when you're working on something. I've always really felt that collaboration is one of the things that made my products really good, was having several voices in the room talking about it rather than just one voice. But
Right.
there you go.
Oh yeah, I agree with that, because some of my favorite ideas that I've brought to a game, because I haven't made anything else, uh, came from the strangest directions, like uh, a a mutant psyker named Amik Fosk, which apparently is which means dark friend in Sumatran.
No
Which
kidding.
I'm like,
Wow.
this was a person that had never played a role-playing game before, and I was stunned at the creativity with which they came up with their player character's name.
That is good.
In so much as a fact, I stole that name for a psyker for later, and I also named my Dark Tide psyker that name.
Nice.
That's how much it's stuck in the brain, which
I like
I'm
that.
very excited. Anywho,
Let's talk about the Votann themselves, the ancestor cores, a little bit.
all right.
So we told you that these are the very ancient sentient artificial intelligences. They date back to the dark age of technology. They were sent out with the Long March colonization fleets. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
What they hold inside of them is the accumulated knowledge and laws and technology specifications, which does include STC data.
Yes.
And the lore of the Votann kin. They are the repositories for the cerebral data of every dead kin and iron kin, which is called a practice called returning to the ancestors, where you upload your memories to the Votann.
Yes.
This gives the Votann kind of a quasi-religious character, even though they are, again, very highly secular.
Kind of an afterlife, yeah.
Now, over the millennia, the Votann have grown, let's say, ponderous.
They have grown. They have slowed down.
Yeah,
They have. I think this is I don't think they were meant to do this, to have all of this much data uploaded into them.
Right, because they seem to be struggling with the sheer accumulated weight of all the demands placed on them and the data. But to the leagues of Votann, the judgments of a Votann are still considered effectively beyond any dispute. The Votann have spoken. It's like I have spoken from the Middle Earth. That is it.
Yes.
Only the Grimnir, which are also called living ancestors,
mm-hmm.
they are permitted to interface directly with the Votann, and they do this in the Fanes.
Yes, the aforementioned Fane, Fane.
Right. Which is another word for temple, by the way. So it's very religious.
It's like,
right.
Totally not religious in any way.
Fanes are basically really sophisticated cogitators, and on some rare occasions, they are said to have developed their own independent intelligence.
Yeah, this is how they get around there's X amount of ancestor cores. How do the kin expand if they are so expansionistic as they've been described? Oh, the interaction. Oh, hi, Kovu. Hi, buddy.
Hi, Kovu.
He's being adorable. He wants a stretch. But yes, this is the in-universe explanation as to how there are new holds established. Oh, the Fane has gotten so much information, and it's kind of advanced itself, which is a whole other bag of rats. I don't want to get into. Oh, hi, buddy.
That is a cat who's demanding attention.
He heard me say rats, and he's like, I can do this. Hi, buddy. Anywho, as I was saying, the Fane can sometimes gain sentience, as Ross was implying, and they then break these off and use them to create new ancestor cores, which I have questions.
How do you make a new ancestor core? That's a really interesting thing.
I thought these things were supposed to be supercomputers, and I thought the Fane was how you interface with said supercomputer, but now you're implying that the Fane itself is a sort of mini supercomputer that interfaces with the Votann.
And there's
oh, go ahead.
No, as I say, there's some newer lore about the cores as well, which is about there is a Votann that was driven insane by grief because High Fleet Leviathan annihilated all the kindreds that were defending it. This involves Buri Ignarsson.
Ignarsson.
Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
He's the sole survivor of this whole incident, by the way. But
Yep.
the Votann just became what's called the Mad Core, and the other
Yes.
leagues avoid approaching it for fear of corrupting their own Fanes and their own core. So
Yes, they've turned it into a forbidden zone,
right.
so that other Votann don't risk getting infected by the madness.
And then we also get the Ironkin. These are our self-aware robotic beings that are made by the Votann. They are treated as full and equal citizens of Kin society, which is great. I love it's very progressive of them.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
Now, the Ironkin have what's called a cerebral unit, which is considered extremely tough and difficult to destroy. It's
Yes.
housed inside a mechanical body, and each of their mechanical bodies is suited to a specific role. Some of them are generalists. That is a role, believe it or not, generalist.
Yep.
Strategic advisor, combat trooper, mining support, cargo handler, pilots, many, many more.
Now, a fun fact about the Ironkin. This is mostly to do with the Ironkin that travel along the Hernkin, the explorers. You know that little iron dome, like that little shiny dome that the Ironkin have instead of a face? They can actually project a biological kin face onto that little dome. And if anyone asks about it, why that one looks a little weird, they just say, "Oh, it's just a helmet,"
I love it.
which is a very, very humorous way of dealing with it. It's like,
Yeah,
stop. What?
and
Are you are you gonna make a big whoop about it?
to be clear, this is not like Data from Star Trek. They can
No,
mimic the social behavior of the kin very effectively, and they're fully integrated into their society.
but they do not feel true emotions. They are just if an Ironkin like looks like it's showing emotions, it's just pretending.
Oh,
It's
you're
not
hurting their
actually feeling
feelings
anything.
now.
No, I mean they don't have any feelings to hurt.
Well, they say, according to the kin, they say that they don't have any ambition or they don't want to be leaders, but there are rumors of what's called the Iron Call,
Yes.
which is a Ironkin who has become the call or chieftain of a group of kin.
Uh, Call is just the catch-all term for the guy in charge, which supposedly an Ironkin isn't supposed to want to be in charge, but as you said, rumors abound that there is one that has just taken charge, whatever that means.
Yeah, I think is it called like a war leader title, or is it also
Well,
for?
it usually it's the guy. It can fit like from what I just read like a few hours ago, it can either be a guild master, can
Mm,
can be called a call. It can be the Lord Grimnir can
mm,
receive the title of call. So there's actually subsections of there's something called a hearth call, which is the guy in charge of the plasma generator. There is the I it's in the book right there. There's a whole bunch of little like versions of call, but call for the kin just means, oh, when things get like rough, we need one guy to start making decisions.
right.
And that's usually like call can be even a temporary title. Somebody like orc. Okay, once again to use the age-old examples, orcs show up. Okay, an Einhir champion that we have, which we'll get into those. Those are the mini Terminator guys that the Votann have, the kin have, and the best fighter in the hold says, "All right, a big fight is coming up. There's nobody else who can claim authority that's good enough for this. I'm taking charge. I'm call for the rest of this fight." And then when the fight is over, he drops the title and he goes back to being a bodyguard. or something else, because that's what the Einherjar champions sometimes do.
A couple of
They do other stuff as well.
couple of comments I'd like to address. We got one from Jonathan King, who says it's supercomputers all the way down.
Apparently, it is.
And this is a question from Devin Urbina. It says, do the Ironkin have a module to emulate being drunk?
I'm sure some Brokir Iron Master made one as a joke, but I mean, who knows?
Why not? It's, as far as I know, they can perfectly mimic social behavior. So
yes,
probably.
Now they don't have a mouth to drink anything, so they can't even mimic that. But I'm sure some broke here somewhere was like, wouldn't it be funny if I made a drunk Ironkin? Oh, that would be hilarious.
Well, yes. Yeah. So the most gifted Iron King, they become what are called Memnir strategists, and they advise the war leaders, the calls, because by processing all the battlefield data, and sometimes they're helped by specialized cerebral units, and some that are called wayfinders. They chart safe warp jump routes.
Yeah. Those are the kin navigators. They use an Ironkin supercomputer in order to calculate the path through the warp, because they also have warp engines like the Imperium, because they came from the same starting point.
Which strongly implies that you can just automate warp travel, which, holy shit, that would be amazing.
Oh my goodness, the Imperium would be
what?
Would be turmoil
right
in the Imperium, and the Navigator guilds would be in uproar.
Yeah, the Navis Nobilite, yeah, the houses.
Yeah. Sorry, I went a little Dune there.
Yeah, well, they are definitely from Dune.
I know. I use the real name, but yeah, the Navis Nobilite, which good stuff.
There are some simpler non-sentient robotic laborers called the cogs. We talked about those earlier. Yep. They do not have self-awareness, to be very clear.
No, those are worker drones. They do not have the same position in society as the Ironkin. They are just tools. It's like saying, yes, my spanner has kin rights to give it a phrase.
So let's talk about a few of the roles that are in the kin society. We have the Hearthkin. These are your standard warrior class, your soldiers.
They are your most basic infantry, and much like fantasy dwarves, they are in fact citizen militia. They are not soldiers by trade. They are usually something else, but then they also train like marksmanship and like small unit tactics and stuff like that, so that when the time comes, we can be ready and all hands on deck. Because honestly, there's not that, like, sure, they say millions, but millions in a galaxy doesn't really mean much when you're going up against trillions of others.
Oh, I just spotted in the chat, Drazina question is Finnish. Hey, I've been to Finland many times. I've visited Tampere, and I've been to Helsinki. I've been to Krakow and Ropakon, which are local conventions.
I was about to say the only Finnish word I know, but it's a swear word, so I can't say it.
Oh, well, I know how to toast in Finnish, and I know
nice.
I know kasarikenet, which is getting drunk in your underwear, which is a great Finnish term. I love it.
That is an excellent phrase. I will say this: I am a big fan of saunas. So there you go.
My God, the saunas are amazing. Yes. Balls. Oh, Turku! I've been to Turku.
Nice.
So we'll have to talk more about Finland sometime. I do have a Let's Chat.
Fun fact: Finns, the only one I have no problems with of all of the rest of the Nordics.
Oh my God!
Dear Lord. Once again, mostly joking. There's only a tinge of historical grievance here, but that's about it.
I do a Twitch chat every Thursday for just hanging out and doing an AMA. So if you want to join me there on Thursday, we can talk about my journeys through Finland. It would be really fun.
Oh man!
All right, then we've got the Einherjar.
Hold on. Before you move on,
okay,
I do have to ask what your thoughts on licorice are.
Oh God, you're not talking about the pine tar stuff, are you?
No. I'm talking about just like salted licorice, like the black one.
Well, okay. I generally I do enjoy red licorice. I'm not a black licorice guy.
Really
And
interesting.
in Finland, they have a particular flavor that is derived from pine tar that they use on their candy.
I don't like that one. I like the
Oh,
plain salted black
the
salted licorice.
the pine tar that they use for the flavoring in their candy and their ice cream. I've had it, and to me, it tastes like licking the underside of a diesel engine. I do not enjoy it.
Oh goodness, goodness gracious.
however,
Anyway,
however, sautéed reindeer is amazing.
oh
So
yes, I have tried reindeer. We have reindeer here in Iceland. It's great.
of course you do,
Yeah,
and volcanoes.
exactly.
So the Einhyr Hearthguard are the next role we need to talk about. These are your elite heavy infantry, like
Yes.
Victor was saying. This is your Terminator-esque guys. They have very
Yeah.
powerful exo armor, and these are your bodyguards and shock troops of the Votann, the leagues
Yes.
of Votann.
These are your professional soldiers. They do nothing but fight. They act as bodyguards for, the Call or Grimnir's or Brokir Ironmaster. It depends on who you want. All right, Kovut buddy, I love you, but you're kind of heavy. Ugh. Oh, my hand was starting to cramp up. He's a big cat.
He is a big cat.
Ugh, all right. But yes, they have the best armor that the leagues are able to provide because it is much like Terminator suits. They were originally used for hazardous mining operations. So, which they still use them, unlike the Imperium, the League still use them for hazardous mining operations. It's just that they also have their specialized war suit, so to speak.
And we already told you about the Calls, which is the high ranking leaders.
Yes.
These are the ones that sit on the council.
Yes.
Then there's the Grimnir, which we talked about these guys as well. They're the living ancestors. They commune with the Votann, with the Thanes, and they're the closest analog to a priest or a psyker that the Votann can have.
Yes.
Then, but
I was about to say, but don't ever get caught calling them a priest because that's a grudging.
Would you like to tell us about the Hernkin Rangers?
Yes, I would love to. So, they are split into two groups, effectively. There are the Hernkin Pioneers and the Hernkin Jaegers / Salvagers, depending on what terminology you want to go with. So, the Hernkin Pioneers, those are the guys that they are explorers and surveyors. Their job is not to pick anything up. Their job is to go to places, check them out, see if they can find anything of value. Then they drop a homing beacon and they move on. So, who is supposed to find this homing beacon, you ask? That would be the Hernkin Jaegers or the Salvagers, depending on if they are if they're on a planet and looking for some minerals, or if they're in a space hulk looking for some, tech, some good old archaeotech. And the Jaegers come in and they dig in, for lack of a better phrase. And they either extract the valuable resource and get out, or they hold the place until like a proper mining outfit or a kin host can be brought in to fully extract it if they just don't have the kin power. I don't want to say manpower because I get grudged. So yeah, it is. So those, yes. So in summary, Hernkin are your long coat wearing, hover trike riding explorers. Their job is to look around, find stuff.
They're also very. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was about to say they're also traders. They also talk with people if they're able to talk to them, like Eldari, like the Tau, like humans if they're able to talk to the humans, if they know Gothic mostly. So, but you were going to say?
Yeah, these are the ones that travel the furthest away from the holds. In fact, they are kind of considered daredevils because their risk of being that far away is that you could potentially not return to the ancestor core if you're killed.
Aha! But they have a solution for that.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So, there is very little description of this device, but there exists a piece of technology for the kin called a legacy vault,
Ooh, good
which,
name.
yes, I know it's a very good name. I like it. This is why I brought it up. And apparently, the description was a little vague, I will admit, but from what I could tell, it's like a black box for memories.
Mm.
They can apparently take a little like a memory copy of either a brain or a cerebral unit if it's an ironkin, because they too get to return to the ancestors because they are equals in that way. And they then, like, I can't believe I'm saying it, diggy a little hole, drop the legacy vault into the hole,
Oh my god.
and there is an inbuilt little distress signal that the Votann are able to pick up, and then when the next kin host rolls through, digs up the legacy vault, they are then able to take it, bring it back to the ancestor core, and upload those memories,
Which is awesome.
which is very cool.
Yeah.
So that's like somebody, like, it's just a little sidebar in the codex, but I love that somebody thought of, hey, these daredevil guys, these guys that are ranging really far out from from the Votann, how are they able to, like, justify it to themselves? And it's a little piece of technology. It's kind of like the kin answer to a soul stone, except the they're not keeping the dwarf alive. If the dwarf dies, he's just gone.
Well,
So
it's keeping their memories, which is it's similar. You're right. It's similar in
yeah,
some ways.
it's the experience that they want. But here's the crazy bit. Like I've mentioned before, they really shouldn't be doing this.
No,
They should
because it
they,
seems to
they
be
should stop.
it seems to be increasing the burden on the Votan.
Yes, and it seems to be slowing down their cloning cycles and the response times that they get, and it's just, no, please stop. Space
We
Force, there's tradition, and then there's destroying yourself in the process.
well, speaking, we have talked about the Ironkin and the Memnir strategists. These are the advisors who process the battlefield data for the
Mhm.
calls. There's also these group called the Arcanist Evaluators.
Scientists.
Yeah, well, technologists maybe because they're field testing their experimental weapons in the field.
The book calls them mechanists, which I don't know if they're referencing the Fallout 3 quest line.
Oh God, that's right, the Mechanist and the
Yeah,
Antagonizer. Oh
and
my
the
God,
ant, no, oh yeah, the ant agonizer, because
that's right.
she agonizes ants. It's, oh god, that was such a terrible quest.
I
Anywho,
thought it was funny, but you're right.
I and if they'd let it like, and then they brought the mechanist back for Fallout 4 because they thought that was the greatest quest, apparently.
Oh,
Anywho,
we
I
can
I
talk about
have
Fallout. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on Fallout for
I
sure.
have opinions too. Let's not get into it because can of worms, can of worms.
But the thing about the Arcanist Evaluators I think is interesting is that these can be both Iron Kin and Kin
Yes,
together. So
correct.
it can be a mix of both that do this field testing of their experimental weapons. Do you want to talk about the Chthonian mining guilds?
Yes, I do. So the Chthonians are they are the fun fact, Chthonian means like underground person.
Well, so fun fact also, this is also Horus's homeworld was
Yeah,
Chthonia.
I know of Chthonia, which is, I don't know why it's called that. Like, I mean, the people there lived in caves, so cave people
Right. It should be
essentially.
they should be chthonic mining
Yes,
guilds, not
chthonic
Chthonian.
mining. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, it seems to be
It
referencing a
seems to
place,
have
not a
nothing to
people.
do. It seems to have nothing to do with Horus's homeworld, to be
No,
clear.
no, 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 no. It's weird. I'm sure somebody thought they were being real clever with that one on both fronts, and it wasn't the same person.
Mm.
So, anywho, these are your Votankin miners, Miners, not Because remember, there's no such thing as a Votann-kin child. They don't exist. So they literally don't have underage people. So keep that in mind. Uh, but yes, they are the ones that go into the once the Hernkin pioneers have found it and the Hernkin Jaegers have claimed it, then you get the Chthonian. Wow, uh, they don't actually give the miners names because the Berserks, the unit that it's referencing on the tabletop, those are separate from that because you get a very specific clone scheme. As you remember, the clone scheme is the little flavorings on top of the kin that you get from the Votann. They get
It's like a bloodline.
it's like a yeah, it's kind of yeah, you get to it's traits, genetic traits you get to pick in character creation, right? And it's just that you're not in charge of your own character creation, which is very funny. Uh, I'm sure, like when I first heard that, slight tangent. When I first heard Games Workshop talking about Votann lore, and they're like, "Oh, they're a clone race, and they each have little genetic templates that they work after." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. They get to control like what they need and how they make it." And then I
The
learned, "Oh
Votann
no,
do.
the supercomputer is in charge." I was like, "Oh no, oh that's not good." Anywho, uh, a mining kin, because I don't have another name for them, a Chthonian, if you will, if we're going by the naming scheme. They are the ones who actually do the physical labor of hacking out or drilling out or just getting the stuff out of the ground. They don't just mine ore, they also mine space hulks. They also mine stellar phenomena, which is insane. And here's the really insane bit.
Like comets
They
and meteors and things like that.
no, like black holes. I wish
Really?
or I think they mentioned like the edge of black holes or something like
The event
that.
horizon? Okay.
Yeah, the event horizon, like where stuff hasn't quite fallen in. And here's the absolute crazy one. They mine the warp. Like
What?
I'm not kidding. It's in the book.
Huh.
I did a triple check.
That is
Apparently,
crazy.
they mine apparently, you know how in Dark Crusade in the is it called the Maelstrom? No, not Dark Crusade, Black Crusade. Is it
Screaming
called the Maelstrom?
vortex?
The Screaming Vortex. Thank you. I was thinking of Huron Blackheart. The Screaming Vortex. You know how people live in there, like
Yes.
in their societies and junk?
I wrote
Yeah,
planets and stuff for it. Yeah. I
exactly,
remember.
exactly. Uh, apparently, the kin send Chthonians into that to mine stuff.
Wow. That is
Which is
crazy.
insanity, if you ask
Right?
me. But
Or in this case, it's probably just iron determination. We're going to get that ore.
it's like, oh, they heard about a planet that's made up entirely of iron. Oh, we want that.
Give us that. We don't care how many moons with faces on we have to pass. We're just going to go get that
Exactly.
ore.
Oh, what do you mean the planet is just a giant dude? Okay, we'll mine his bone marrow then.
Oh my
Something
god.
like that. Is okay. Like that was me giving it a little bit of a stretch, but that's how they get described in the book.
No,
I
Sebastian
didn't
Moe's
make
got
that
this right.
up.
He says that's metal to mine
How
the
metal
warp.
do you have to be to say let's mine the warp?
That's
I mean,
metal.
there's stuff in the warp. Oh, I shouldn't forget. They also mine void creatures like kraken and void whales as
Yeah, in
well.
the novel Void Scar, they have a whole space caravanserai kind of place that's set up in
Mhm.
the corpse of a mine whale, a void whale that they're mining
Yeah,
actively.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like I know these guys like it's like, "Oh, what are space dwarfs going to mine? Everything apparently," which is really freaking cool.
I love this comment. He says the dwarves love mining so much they'll mine reality itself. The hole must be dug.
The wormhole must be dug.
That's great.
Yes. So, as I was saying, these guys they have to be made extra tough by the Votann in order to do all of this. In fact, uh hmm, don't fully quote me on this, but I think there's also a clone scheme that dampens their souls further. If
Hmm.
if I read that correctly, but then again, I did
I'm not
speed
aware of it,
read
but it
all
may
this.
it may
But yes,
exist.
I think that said something about a clone scheme that makes like dampens their souls even further. That's probably the dudes that you send to mine that guy planet, that dude planet in the warp. Although I'm pretty sure that guy is in the Eye of Terror, so wrong place.
Well,
Anywho,
there's plenty of warp storms to mine
there's
these days, so
there's hey, now there's warp storms all over the galaxy. It's great. In fact, the the Great Rift is the reason why the Votann slash Kin had to leave the galactic core, because there's a warp storm that split right through the galaxy, and in the center of the galaxy is the core where they were all living. So imagine being, yes, we are proud space dwarves and we have lived here for thousands of years, and what's happening?
this
It's
is
like
not good. We need to go.
reality unwound itself, and now we have to leave because there's too much warp nonsense happening all over the place. But yes, then to go into a little, to go into the two specific units, just to tie it back to the tabletop game, because that's where most people will encounter these things. We have the Chthonian Berserks, not spelled berserk, just to be legally distinct for trademark purposes. Very good, Games Workshop. Very good. That delete key is doing heavy lifting. Uh, and they are your, as the name wants to imply, they are your berserker unit. They are your shirtless dwarfs with heavy axes and power fists that charge in full of combat stims and just start smashing things left and right. I have a unit of 10 of those guys. I love dropping them out of my land fortress and hacking at the ankles of knights. They want that plasma core that the knight has. Give it to us, precious. Anywho, and they, apart from all of the cool stuff that I told you about kin miners, they are your shock troops. They go in, they mess people up, they die trying.
And they're
And
more than willing to use force to get their resources.
oh yeah, exactly. They are like they are so like hopped up on. I was about to say like friends on and stuff, but that's stuff the Imperium uses.
Well,
Who
no, but
knows?
the miners are considered like the most aggressive of
Yes,
the, and
correct.
they're also heavily augmented too. They have like a lot of cybernetic
Oh
parts
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
things like
true,
that
true,
as
true.
well.
Like they get their they get cybernetic eyes and augmented limbs, and like they get like weave into like fiber weave into their muscles to make them like hit harder and stuff like that. They also probably can use all of that stuff in just their regular, regular day job. So none of those are actually bad to just have. But then we need to talk about the mole mortar, because this is perhaps one of the stupidest weapons that Games Workshop has ever made.
Stupidly great, you mean? Because
No,
it is
no,
old.
no.
It comes from the old days, and we all loved it. It's a
Look,
mortar that fires rounds into the ground that burrow underneath you and then explode.
the amount of nonsense and hand waving
It's beautiful
required
nonsense.
to make this thing work, especially against, because it legally in game can shoot flying targets, and they have to explain that nonsense. And apparently, they the one round, I think it's called no, it's not the breacher round, it's the other one, and now I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure it's in the book, but I can't be bothered to go look it up. But one of them has burrows up and emits a gravitational wave right as it is about to like hit. And apparently, if enough mole mortars time their gravitational waves correctly, they can converge on flyers and drop them, and they can also mess with anti-grav fields and drop them, which is just
You're overthinking it. You're overthinking it. This is
it
space
is
fantasy.
it is like Why? Just say that it can't target flying.
It's
That's it.
rad. I'm sorry. I
Oh,
love the Mole Mortar. I will die on
oh.
this hill. I
All
love the
right,
Mole Mortar.
that's fine. That's fine. But my God, like I just kept reading and reading and reading, and then I realized, oh my God, they're trying to justify how this thing can hit everything because it doesn't shoot in the air; it shoots in the ground.
It's so
Oh,
great. The Imperium used to have this technology back in this first
yeah,
and
yeah,
second
yeah,
edition era.
yeah. They like that. I mean, wasn't it like squat technology that they?
Right, that they
Yeah,
that they adapted, yeah. But I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
they haven't. It hasn't been seen in any Imperial stuff in a very, very long time. So let's put it that way.
Oh my
All right,
goodness.
I think we've covered the majority of the roles. We've talked a little bit about their cultural obsession with grudges,
Yes.
and the one thing we need to add about this about is that the kin, the Votann kin, the reason why they pursue these grudges so strongly, or at least part of the reason, is because they believe the ancestors are always watching them and judging their resolve.
Yes, the ancestors are watching is a common
Right.
phrase.
And this is part of their culture because they are very stubborn, very conservative, very pragmatic. They're
Mhm.
resistant to changing their minds once a course is set, which are all very dwarfy traits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But these
Makes
are,
sense.
according to the lore, these traits are linked to the same genetic hardening or psychic hardening that dulls their presence in the warp. So that suggests some interesting things about how souls work, just to be clear.
Yeah, although somebody we didn't pull it up earlier, but somebody put a comment in, I think it was Richie, who said that a buddy of his pointed out that imperial cloning technology also seems to dampen souls.
That's I don't know about that. I mean, there's a
It's
lot of cloning stuff in the Imperium that we would have to cover to discuss that.
true, but
And
like it's been mentioned like here and there, but no, it's like does like it seems to imply that cloning has
I
a
don't know about
weird
that.
effect on souls, but who knows? I'm not sold on it.
Well, the only counter argument I can muster right now, without going too deep down that rabbit hole, is that Fulgrim's clone that was created by Fabius Bile is described as perfect in every way. So that suggests that cloning
Mm,
can, in fact, replicate a soul. But anyway, it's
right, right, right.
this we're souls and the 40k. To be clear, on this channel, we always really very much are like that's very ambiguous.
Yes, it
So
is. It is. It is Doctor Who levels of nonsense.
let's get back to the kin's culture. Okay,
Yes.
their moral code. Now, their moral code comes from these very unforgiving void mining fleets that they started out on. So, waste and laziness and carelessness, these are the cardinal sins because they can mean death in the void, in the space. This is very, very bad.
Yes.
It drives the kin's reputation amongst other species as these very selfish hoarders. But within their own culture, accumulating resources and knowledge and experience, this is how you honor the ancestors. This is how you live a good life as one of the Votann kin. Do you agree with that?
That about covers it. Like you can like for instance, this very much feels like submarine culture
Hmm.
where oh, the reason why like submarine crews endlessly drill like fire drills is to make it so that if the real thing happens, you can do it without even having to think about it. And these like traits that you mentioned are very good in emergencies because
Agreed.
if things start to go bad, you have to be able to be fully like capable of following orders from the one guy, the call, who's in charge, and you can't have any like disagreements between like what's happening and how to respond. And oh, there's a fire in the plasma generator. We need to stop that right now. So you can kind of see how like the void faring past of the
Hmm.
kin, which once again goes into that whole little like cultural cloning thingy we talked about earlier is like, oh, none of this was meant to be like this, but the things that would become the kin, like they don't remember anything different. So their culture has completely like gone like they've completely lost all cultural context to what they used to like how things used to be because they weren't always like this.
Hmm.
They according to themselves they used to be human, and they know that they're like an offshoot of humanity. They just don't want to tell the Imperium about it.
Well,
So
for very valid reasons, I
very
think.
good reasons, because then the Imperium goes, "You're not paying any tithe,
Yeah.
and you haven't been paying for how long?
Yeah.
Pay
Right.
up."
Right. There would be some compliance
The
required.
administratum would have a conniption about the backlog of everything that the leagues owe to the Imperium.
Let's
Which,
let's
oh,
spend
go
a
ahead.
little let's spend a little time talking about the galactic core.
Yes.
So this is a region of a very hazardous region. It's full of extreme gravity and radiation and stellar phenomena. And this is one of the reasons why it's very lightly settled, except by the Votann King, because their physiology and their technology, they can thrive there. One of the things they can do, interestingly enough, is they can actually disassemble stars for resources, which, holy shit,
Yep.
that's a
Do
big deal.
do you remember the Demiurge ship
Yeah,
from Battlefield
Battlefield
Gothic?
Gothic. Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of those ships
right.
that they use to crunch up planets. I'm pretty sure like if the planet is too big, they blow it up and then they chunk it. If I'm remembering correctly, but here I am going after like by some old Battlefield Gothic lore,
Yeah,
which
I don't want to get
who
into
knows
how. I just know
who
that they can.
knows who knows how valid that still is, because it's through the, like you said, the lens of the Tau, which who knows what like how that relationship has like evolved since they became a fully playable. So I'll give that like a 40-60. You decide how the split which way the split goes.
Beyond the core, the kin, they send these exploratory fleets called prospects to. That's where they usually run into the other galactic powers. But as we said, the Great Rift in the Air Indomitus has disrupted their trade routes. It fragmented some of the leagues, and it pushed the kin out even further into the galaxy. And that's where we have finally met them in the lore.
It is kind of, I'm very curious how the decision making at Games Workshop went, because if you remember, when was it, end of 8th edition when the Psychic Awakening happened? I
Yeah,
think
roughly.
it
Yeah,
was. Yeah, I'm curious because that's when the planet, galaxy got split. That's when Gilliman got brought back. Like a whole bunch of forward momentum for the setting, like in ways that nobody expected. I remember some Games Workshop writers wanting to bring back Gilliman, and I just like turned up my nose at that because it's like they're never gonna do that. That would be silly.
it was shocking. It was. I
It
was. I
was.
was actually working on Wrath of Glory when this happened, and I remember thinking, "Holy shit! Everything that I've been working on needs to be thrown away, and I have to start all over."
Yeah, you have to now say, how is everyone dealing with the fact that
Right.
the son of the emperor is back?
And half
And
the galaxy's cut off from the other half, and various
exactly,
other things.
exactly. Like I would love to know when they decided to make the split happen, and when somebody went, "Hey, can we do the Leagues of Votann?" Because
Yeah.
that is the perfect like uh uh what's the phrase I'm looking for here? The inciting incident. There it
Yes.
is. The perfect inciting incident to push the leagues into the galaxy, and conflict happens. Oh, it's just it I would love to know if which came first, the Great Rift or somebody wanting to push the leagues out. I have a feeling that the Galaxy Rift the Great Rift came first, and then somebody went, I can use this.
One of these days, someone's going to write a book about how this all went down. But I don't know right now. I wish I did. Let's
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
the kin's relationship, though, with other species. We know that their most persistent enemies are the orcs, and that they hate
Yes.
orcs. But
Hmm.
they do regularly clash with Necrons, because the tomb worlds are often disturbed by kin mining operations.
Correct. Correct.
And
This
it's
is. Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
I was
please.
about to say this is occupational hazard
Yes.
at best, because it's like, yes, here we have a lovely planet. One shovel dig is like, oh, that's necrodermis. What are we gonna do about that?
We're going to mine it.
All right, let's get it.
Right? Because this somebody was asking whether they mine Tyranids. They do.
They do, yes.
The Tyranids. They call the Tyranids the Bane, and they
Yes.
treat the Tyranids with a very wary respect because they know that the Tyranids will absolutely. They are not to be flexed with. Let's put it that way.
No, they treat them. They are. It is on site for Tyranids because they cannot risk. They cannot risk more fallen ancestor cores, as have happened in the past. We need to get to those 2 named characters before the show is over.
We will, but they do. Some kindreds will actively hunt down though isolated hive ships and mine out their biomatter, which I think is really fun.
Yes, I'm curious what they use that for, but I'm sure there's something they use it for, like fuel or something. Who knows?
We said we told you guys that they do have a pretty cordial trade relations with the Eldari and the Tau, although the Kin do not have any patience for the Drukhari.
No,
and they have clashed with the Tau over some territory, so it is not fully friendly. It's just mostly friendly.
I mean, there has to be a reason for everyone to fight everyone. That's rule number 1 in Warhammer.
And then there's their relationship with the Imperium.
Yeah, that one's probably the most complicated because they come from them, but they do not agree with them about anything really, because there's some fundamental differences about just technology that
The
they
Kin
disagree about.
The Kin are a pretty monolithic culture. Like we know that there are things that are true for almost all Kin.
Yeah.
But the humans are very, very different, and some
they're
humans
also unreliable.
Some humans you can trade with, some humans you can be mercenaries with. But then there's the Inquisition or the Space Marines who are just going to fight you sometimes out of outright hostility.
Yeah, it's like, oh, those Black Templars think you're Xenos, which apparently the Games Workshop classifies Votann, the Leagues of Votann as Xenos, which they are not.
Technically not. Yes,
they are technically not Xenos. They are. If you were to call a Ratling and an Ogren Xenos, then you can call a Votann kin Xenos.
Actually, we have an episode. We have an episode on Abhumans, and we talk about how there's sometimes a very fine line.
Yes,
between what is and is not.
At what point is a stable mutation just not humans anymore?
Right.
And in fact, hilariously enough, in Darktide of all places brings this up because one of the preacher personalities in game speaks to the Ogren about whether or not abhumans have souls. And the reason he is pondering this, because he cannot imagine the Golden Throne surrounded by ratlings in the afterlife.
We got that's funny too. I like that. Ricky Chapman sent us a super chat. He says there's a really cool short story where Necrons and Kin fight over harvesting the elements inside a star. It's in the book Darkness Eternal. Oh, that's rad.
The Chthonians do in fact have technology to dig into planet of cores, cores of planets, I should say, and they then teleport sometimes. Well, they sometimes teleport. They sometimes literally dig all the way down and just start mining cores of planets. It's very cool. So yeah,
the Adeptus Mechanicus in particular is viewed by the Votann Kin as superstitious and dangerously ignorant, which I actually fully agree with.
Yes, exactly.
They call them tech shamans, is what they call them.
Tech shamanism is an absolute incomprehensibility especially to the Brokir Iron Masters. Like they would never be able to get along because the Admech have doctrinal differences. Well, they have religion for one, which the Kin do not mess with, and their religion tells them that their ancestor cores are tech heresy. So it is. Oh, right. Uh, Helios, aka Hooligan Mulligan, just got back from the Hobbit pre-release. Hey, welcome back.
We forgive you, Hooligan Mulligan. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Thank you for the super chat,
So yeah,
nevertheless.
it's like especially the AdMech does like even more so than the Imperium as a whole. Like these two do not fit together. Just there are fundamental differences
Yeah,
that kin
irreconcilable differences. Yeah.
irreconcilable differences that the kin just cannot look at a machine priest in red robes and go, we can't do this. We can't even tell you about what we know because if we told you, you would send millions of Skitari to try and kill us. So
So there is one thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to turn it over to Victor to talk about those special characters. The
yeah,
one thing I want to talk about, there is a really fun fan theory about the leaks of Votann, and that is that the Votann are just men of iron who are hiding from the Imperium, or hiding from the Emperor, or hiding from humanity. That the ancestor cores are actually surviving men of iron that rebelled against humanity during the dark age of technology and supposedly lost that war, which may have been why they fled into the core. And the kin are biological camouflage so that the Votann and the AIs that are part of their culture can blend into the galaxy undetected.
I do like that theory. And funnily enough, the evidence for this is actually those aforementioned Necromunda squats. Because
Right?
remember, if they can breed
Right?
and the Votann are holding the regular kin, for lack of a better word, culturally hostage with the clone machines, that would be just an unbelievable act of like species manipulation on on a galactic scale. And I know like if you have you heard any like short stories where AdMech characters run into abominable intelligences and have to interact with them or stuff like that? Because there's one that I'm particularly thinking of where an AI uh, gets found by a tech priest who has a bunch of space marines with him for some reason. I forget why. And the AI just click locks all of the space marines in their suits and starts berating the tech priest. The amount of power that AI from the dark age of technology has, I can totally believe that a Votann has similar power. However, the joke's on them because their biological disguise started uploading way too much
You're
data
right.
into them,
That would
and
be
now
ironic.
they have given themselves artificial
Dementia.
dementia. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It is like if that theory is true, it is hilarious. Absolutely just cosmic levels of joke. Oh, I love it.
Jake was asking about the Ironhead squats. We mentioned them earlier in the episode about the reproduction and romance angle of.
Implication that they can
There's an
reproduce because as
yeah,
far as
it's
I'm
implied.
aware, they don't have a crucible. So that's the implication at least.
All right, Victor, we've got just a few minutes left, so I'm
All
going to
right.
turn it over to you.
All
Let's
right.
talk about
All
those
right.
named characters.
All right. I'm going to give you the duality of kin because on one hand, you have one of my most favorite characters in all of 40K, Bure Eiknesson, or to give him his Icelandic pronunciation, Bure Eiknesson, which is just a little more extreme pronunciation. He is a kin that is the sole survivor of a fallen hold called Emberg something. Oh God, oh no.
I've got it. I've got it.
Do you have it? Emberg
Uh,
Alliance something.
yeah, I think I talked about it earlier. Just give me a second. I can bring it up.
Oh yeah. You did mention the Hearthguard protectors who fall under that one. But yes, Buri, I'll keep talking while you find his name. belonged to that fallen hold that now has the mad core. He is absolutely insane. He has lost his mind with grief, and he now does nothing but roam the galaxy looking for Tyranids to kill. And his weapon is called Bane, which is what they call Tyranids, which is
Is
very
isn't
funny.
he also called the Thrice Devoured?
He is the thrice devoured because, as far as the story goes, that the story in the Codex, he gets devoured twice. I don't know what the story behind the third one is, but it's very funny.
The
So,
It's called
oh, go ahead.
The Emberg Agnir block.
There you go, Emberg Agnir Block. That's the hold that he was part of, and that hold got
League. It
eaten
was a
by
small league.
Oh yeah, sorry, small league that had their own Votann, and a splinter fleet of High Fleet Leviathan got into it and started munching it. And to keep going, just to give the little existential horror that that story likes to invoke. So they started defending the Votan, and they keep falling back, and they keep falling back, and they keep falling back, and they keep dragging their dead with them, and they keep uploading them into the Votan as fast as they are dropping. And then, finally, when the last line of defense falls, the Tyranids get into the Votan and they start tearing it apart. They actually no, they don't tear it apart. They leave it alive. But the problem is, now the accumulated terror and horror and the vicious deaths that all of the kin went through, that got uploaded into the Votan as all of them were dying around it, and that sent it mad with grief. However, there was one survivor who was able to get through, and now he is mostly bionically augmented to give him all of his bits that he's missing back. Oh, and he also has a Tyranid warrior on his back, which is super dope. I love this character. He's such a cool callback to that little line back in third edition. It is just perfection. I love him. He's great. It also helps that his stats on tabletop are dope. Then, my God, the duality of kin. Then we come to perhaps my least favorite character in all of 40k, which is Uthar the Destined. And my dislike of him was born when I first bought when I bought the first Leagues of Votann Codex. I was going through it. I'm like, oh, this is dope. This is cool. This is some neat lore that I'm learning. It's like, all good stuff. And then I get to Uthar. And what is his stick? Oh, he's meant to do something cool later.
Someday.
Someday he is going to do something real cool, but he hasn't done it yet. And in fact, this latest version of his story, like he's racked up an extra like little list of achievements that he's been doing, and he's literally forsaken the Greater Thurian League to go out and try and find this destiny that he was meant for. And he's starting to get imposter syndrome because he has no idea what he's supposed to be doing. And like he's not even sure that he will ever be ready for whatever great destiny the ancestor core had in line for him. And when I first got the army and I was starting to collect it and putting it together and painting it, to have one named character and he hasn't done shit. It was devastating. Ain't there 3 Votann characters? Who's the third? There's not in the book. There's not.
I don't know
Devin,
if there is.
Devin
Urbina.
Urbina.
Yeah,
I don't. Maybe there's like.
that's a good question.
I think there was like there may have been like a Black Library tie-in character at some point. I think it was like a female Einhir champion. I think. But I don't remember if she's like actually playable or if she has like fluff or what. The guy with the orchid. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on.
Yeah,
Is he
all I
not
know
in?
of is Uthar and Buri. Those are the only ones I know of.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I think he might be brand new. I think he came out after this codex came out. Hold on, let me find the name characters. Yeah, yeah. In the codex there is Uthar, there's Buri, and yes, now that he mentions it, I do remember the Chthonian berserk character with who's holding an orc head in his hands. I just don't remember what he's called, and
Let
I
me go
I
check
think
the Games Workshop website, see if they'll.
check the Games Workshop website. I think he is. I don't even remember if he has like special rules or not, but they may just he may I think he just missed the latest codex, so he's just not
Barrick Stonebrow.
Beric
Stornbrow.
Stonebrow. There you go.
Storn, Storn, Stornbrow.
Storenbrow. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's brand new. He's got an orc head and a big hammer. He looks
Yeah.
rad as hell. He says he's wielding a pick hammer called Cromlock's Revenge as he leads his hand-picked Chthonian berserks known as Barracks Breakers into the heart of battle.
Congratulations. That's probably all the lore we're getting until the next codex
That's
comes
all
out.
I have on him, fellas. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Like there was probably a reason we didn't mention him. It's because he doesn't really have much to work with. Sorry to say, but it's nice that we mentioned him. So there's that.
There is a cool new piece of lore I think we should cover.
Oh, which is?
There's the Grendel Dominance League.
Oh,
And
yeah, they're new.
this is where the Fane, the Yarvik Gulf Kindred's Fane, it spontaneously achieved sentience and became an entirely new Votann. But unlike their league's original core, which they call senile, it seems to be kind of like senile. This new Votann is giving very clear, unambiguous, and beneficial guidance.
Yes, and this is freaking the Grimnir out.
Well, it's worse because the advice directly contradicts the old core's directives. So it's sparking a power struggle between the supporters of each Votann who are now trying to eliminate the other. And that is fascinating. If you have a brand new Votann who's like, no, that is all wrong. This is the new way. Like that's interesting because you could have a almost Star Trek, evil computer moment here.
Yeah, like also you were that was you referencing the Fane Wars, if I'm not mistaken. That's also
I think so, yeah.
that's a little sidebar in the codex. There's on that same page opening, I think. There's another little short horror story, if you will, where a Grimnir goes out of the Fane and mentions to the other Grimnir, I have received an answer from the Votann. And they are apparently discussing the variance in the in the Crucible timings that they're talking about. It's like, oh, there's like 0.4 or 6.17 like variance. They don't actually give the unit of measurements, but honestly that doesn't matter. But all we know is that there is some variance. But what was the answer that the Votann gave? There is no variance. And they all freak out because, oh no, the Ancestor Core has no idea what's going on, and it cannot give us accurate information anymore. This is bad.
One more super chat from Ice Fans. He says, this one's been interesting. Thanks for filling in, Victor with a K. Cheers, Ross. Everybody, please give some appreciation to Victor for filling in for Alexis. He's done a great job, and it is not easy to sit here for 3 hours and discuss 40K lore.
This man are you kidding me? I could go for real work. 3. Let's do this.
This is the part of the show where I say, if you've enjoyed our deep dive into the grim darkness of the far future, please do us a favor, hit that like button and the subscribe button so that the algorithm can help spread our heresy to even more minds in the YouTubes. Victor, you've been great. Where can people find you on the internet if they want to learn more about you?
That's the point.
Please
don't look me up. I prefer it this way.
The other question I have is entirely personal, and that is, who do I have to kill to get into one of your games?
One of my players.
Oh, well, damn.
Because the problem is that I have full tables
That is a
everywhere.
problem. That is a
Yeah.
problem. I also have that problem too. So
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, but oh, there we go. Speaking of TTRPGs,
why
I
don't you
can
read
take
this
this
one?
one. We met the kin in our TTRPG campaign. We ended up fighting a land fortress and a piker. I'm assuming
Psyker.
psyker, yeah. And that put up more of a fight than a keeper of secrets. The secrets that crit rolling bugger thanked the emperor for crack grenades. Indeed.
Thank you, Ricky Chapman. He is our local TTRPG enthusiast.
Indeed. Oh yeah, I have I have a lot of stories. I could do an entire episode about nothing but stories from the tabletop, which I'm sure
We have a
if
show on Monday that I host called Lorebeards and Role Playing. We'd love to have you on to talk about your
oh
stories.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I could I can fill 3 hours. Easy.
Let me check in with Vera, who's my co-host, but I think we can
Yeah.
make
I
we can
don't
arrange it.
know, like I don't know what the topic we could discuss is, but I'm sure you can think of something.
I'm sure we can. Probably running games online might be a good start. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, I do have almost 5,000 hours on Roll20, so yeah, sure, why not?
Oh, we got some more last minute super chats.
Oh,
Pumpkin Historian. Oh my God, you should read this one.
a Norwegian joke about Sweden. What's the difference between space and Sweden? Because in space, there's hope of intelligent life.
Ouch. And
I've
we
been
got
to
one.
Sweden. I haven't found any yet.
Sebastian Miller says, "Call. Appreciate you for being a stand-in. I hope you will join for other streams in the future." Thank you,
Maybe.
guys.
Look, I have 3 topics that I can cover pretty much off the top of my head. The Inquisition, which is also a fascinating topic for you. I can also discuss. Warhammer Fantasy lore. Like, keep in mind, I know a boatload about Warhammer 40K. I know more about fantasy because I've been running 3 games for more. Well, I think they all started around when COVID started. So yeah, 6 years. Most of them have been going on for 6 years, some longer, and I've done literally nothing but GM fantasy for 3 years, almost every like. I don't think there's been a week where I haven't GM fantasy, and then I can talk AdMac. I can talk AdMac all day. Also, Imperium Maledictum has released the AdMac Player's Guide and the AdMac's GM's Guide, and those books are absolutely chef's kiss, just filled to the brim with AdMac-y goodness. But yeah,
Well, I love the Adeptus Mechanicus too. We'll have to talk about that. Lorebeards 40K comes at you every Wednesday and every Saturday from 2 to 5 Mountain Time. And you can find us, of course, on YouTube and Twitch. And there's one last thing we always like to say on the show. I hope you understand. I hope you know what it is, Victor, being a part of the. Okay, do you want to start or shall I?
you know what? You start. I
All
want
right,
to do. I want to do the finish.
that's fair. So remember, everyone, in the grim darkness of the far future,
There is only lore.
very good. Very good. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later. Cheers.